Hello, and welcome to the Pixel Pitch podcast, where we are given a year in gaming, and each of us picks a game from that year for the rest of us to play. I'm Al, and I'm joined again by
Kit
and Falana,
and we're going on a different theme now this time, aren't we? Than what our normal scheduling block is.
Yeah, this one's a little special.
we went full swerve into we're just gonna do some nice horror games that are getting remade soon.
Yeah. All of them in this coming year. Is like for in the year of 2023. Sorry guys, we're still recording in the tail end of 2022.
Yeah, hopefully 2023 releases. That's what it's looking like.
And one of our next big franchise horror remakes is another one of Kit's favorite franchises.
Yeah, it's my second favorite game of all time, Resident Evil 4. It's shocking we're getting both of these remakes hopefully close by each other. So do you guys know anything about Resident Evil 4?
I know that Leon is in it.
Okay. Do you know anything about the impact, more so, that this game has had?
I know that it is also everybody else's favorite game.
Because Al, have you played it before?
Oh yes, I played it in college. I beat it all the way through. I did all the Ada side missions. I went through New Game Plus. I am very familiar with Resident Evil 4.
Yeah. So a little bit of backstory on this game. The Resident Evil 4 that we got, which is, I think, part of the reason it ended up being and continues to be one of the best video games, even on a technical level, of all time. The version we got was the 5th version. There were 4 previous, they went through 4 iterations that they just scrapped before finally getting to this version.
Well, they didn't scrap all of them, technically.
Technically, yeah. They turned them, some of them were turned into other things. They were given to other teams. Yeah, like we got Devil May Cry and we got Haunting Ground out of it.
Yep.
Wait, so was it like full demo-sized things that they had to just redo?
Nope. Some of them they got to the almost demo level. Most of them, they kind of at some point in the development process were like, this isn't gonna fit for Resident Evil. We gotta take this, make it something else. Like actually the first version, which became Devil May Cry, they distinctly were like, nah, this is kind of too cool to be a Resident Evil game. We did a lot of cool things here, but it's not gonna work for zombies and Resident Evil. And especially the first Devil May Cry, like you can see a lot of those vibes. Like they were trying to make it fit and then it didn't quite.
Fixed camera absolutely was my dead giveaway for Devil May Cry 1. That thing not moving, just like not that you got control of the camera in the sequels or anything, but it felt very familiar.
Yeah. And then even if you look at, what we got in Resident Evil 4 for Leon, and then you look at Dante and you look at face on, you're like, okay, he's Leon in a cooler jacket.
Yeah. He's a little bit too cool to be Leon.
It's like Leon's cool. It's like that yearbook photo. Like there's Leon and then the cooler Leon. Yeah. But then we got, they went on and made what was dubbed the Fog version, which was messed around with like some first person angles. There was a girl that was kind of put in the mix, and there was a dog that was kind of put in the mix. And those are some of the elements that kind of became Haunted Ground. Then they moved on to what was called the Hookman version, which that was the one we got like a trailer that looked like it was going to be a demo at an E3, and people got really excited and then just kind of threw that version out. There's actually a lot of information. There were interviews and like still images and stuff. So they got pretty along with that version. And then they were like, nah, this isn't going to be it. They had one more kind of like slightly updated version that they messed around with that ended up like bringing in Spencer, which is a whole plot line they kind of get into in Resident Evil 5. and didn't get as far along with that one. And then we're kind of like, one more time, just give us one more shot, Capcom. And then they finally kind of figured out their groove.
But this is the one where they really leaned hard into more action for the action horror, right?
Yes.
More shoot 'em up.
This is where zombies get machine guns.
Yeah.
Wait, the zombies get machine guns?
Yes.
Oh no.
And that's all the information you're gonna get. Because in this game, Resident Evil 4, whether you like it or not, it did shape the way that survival horror and action games kind of became for a little bit after this, and even like to this day you can still see some of the influence from it. It was the first Resident Evil game with that over the shoulder angle. It tried to find a balance between action and horror, and I still stand by, like, it's survival horror, it's action, it's not a lot of big scary horror, but still kind of like what you got in Resident Evil 3 and Resident Evil 2, you know? A lot of the scare comes from, oh shit, I'm running out of things and there's a dude with a chainsaw chasing me. Ugh, what do I do?
And it's one of the most critically acclaimed games. Like, Fawn's not kidding. Like, it's a lot of other people's favorite game too, and with good reason. I can see why there's some detractors that often talked about how, like, well, this took Resident Evil and the horror genre as a whole into a more action-oriented, setting. This is Resident Evil 4 is solely responsible for Silent Hill Homecoming. Solely responsible.
Wait,
none of that is true.
Hold on, is Silent Hill Homecoming a shoot 'em up? Silent Hill?
It's hard to explain.
Yeah, it's an experience.
Yeah,
it's an experience.
You're supposed to be playing as an army vet, and it's a little bit more action oriented, and they're like, you fight actual people with guns in it. Like, we just got off Silent Hill 2. You can tell why, like, fighting random other people that aren't like, like fighting Eddie made sense, but like when they put like actual people in there as like regular NPC enemies with firearms and melee weapons, it's like, well, you're kind of losing a little bit of luster here. And like, again, people did make the claim, like, this is all Resi 4's fault. If Resi 4 didn't exist, this would have never happened, ever in a million years. Like, I mean, that's not true, but, hey.
Yeah. See, and the thing is that this game, the unfortunate thing with Resident Evil 4 is that, again, the reason people like it is because it was the first thing that really mixed action and horror in a way that was fun. You felt challenged. It still felt like Resident Evil. The save room music was great. The voice lines are goofy. You really kind of end up liking these characters for better or for worse. Like, every character is memorable in some way, shape, or form. But then everything afterwards kind of tried to take that and take it to the next level without realizing, like, how much work ended up going into this game to get it to that point.
Yeah.
One of the other really fun things with this game is that it was part of what was called the Capcom 5, which was Capcom going, hey, we're going to make 5 games that are GameCube exclusives, only for the GameCube, never on any, just the GameCube, guys. One of the games didn't come out. One of the games was a flop to the point that it didn't get ported to anything else. And the other 3 games were Resident Evil 4, Killer 7, and Beautiful Joe, which all of them were very quickly on the PlayStation 2. So this game, the original version of it was supposed to be an exclusive to just the GameCube. And Shinji Mikami was straight up like, I will cut off my own head, if this game is put on if this goes to anything but GameCube, I will be done. I'm done as a game designer. Clearly Capcom called his bluff. Because I think it was, I want to say 9 months, maybe a year after Resi 4 was out, it was on the PS2. So he did not cut off his head. Yeah.
It's been on the PlayStation 2, the PC, the Wii, We got like an HD remaster up, I think, like on the PSN not that long ago. They're like, this thing's
Yeah.
like, yeah, like it's like, I stuck to your guns on that, buddy. I'm real proud of you.
Yeah. I think I think it still holds being the most ported game even over Skyrim. But it's
Wait,
like it's by a
really?
game or two. Yeah. I think it's only like a game or two that's keeping it on ported more times than Skyrim. But like this has been on a lot of things, and a lot of things you've never even heard of.
Oh boy.
I would love to like somehow be like a future man to the past. As soon as those words leave his mouth, slyly slide up to him, just like leave him like, world record, Resident Evil 4 ported to the most consoles. I want you to say that again with a straight face.
Like there's one truth in this world, and it is that Resident Evil 4 is going to outlast everything else on this planet, because there will be something somewhere that still has a copy of it.
Or will it outlast the super cool remake Resident Evil 4 that they're doing? Like, I am so curious how much love and affection is going to be put into this, because we've talked about Resident Evil 2, we talked a little bit about 2 Make before, and there was so much love and attention put into that game. It is arguably superior in many aspects. And I think it definitely, like, you can make the argument. And for a game like Resident Evil 2 that was so iconic, that matters. We're talking about not just one of the best horror games, we're talking about what people put up there as one of their best games of all time, if not the best game of all time. Way back in the day, some 10 years ago, Game Trailers had in its top 10 games ever. If anyone remembers when Game Trailers used to do top 10 lists.
Yeah. And so, yeah, like, and I completely agree that this is one of those things where I'm fascinated. I'm hoping that they do a better job of, or they kind of do like Resident Evil 2's remake, where they try to incorporate more of the lore that they've now kind of soft rebooted. They're trying to fix everything up into this game. Because one thing with Resident Evil 4 is it also kind of became the jumping off point for a lot of the lore. Like they set some kind of little teeny tiny things in this, kind of, that they were working on in earlier versions, kind of set it up. And then 5 tried to take things from 4 and run with it. And then by 6, it was getting really kind of all over the place and convoluted again. But even that still kind of came back to what 5 and 4 set up. So it's a fun game to revisit, because there is so much of we're establishing this thing. Look at this thing. I don't know what it means, but it's there.
It definitely reminds me a lot of 8, which definitely more so than 7, because 7 felt very like in its own world for a hot minute and almost seemed unrelated. But 8 kind of does a lot of the reset the clock of like we're this is lore now, going from here to this. There's a lot that's going on in that story. And you're also rescuing a little girl in that one too. So there's a lot of I can draw from that. Again, 7 seems so like obscure, for lack of a better term. Like it happens so independently of everything else that while 4 brings back characters, updates where they are in their lives, and kind of goes a little off, but like Umbrella's still there. Krauser, he's there, so
fuck yeah. And Wesker is there. Maybe they talk about him. There's no surprise. Ada also returns in this game, so there's very dramatic situations that we ended with. No matter which side you went in Resident Evil 2, she's dead or not.
Wait.
Because this is her infamous dress that everybody thinks about with her. And God, Krauser. The fact that we haven't heard anything with him in the remake just builds my heart bigger and bigger. I'm hoping he is in it, and they're doing the same thing they did with the original game, where they didn't talk about him, because Falana, when you think of Bandit Keith America Man, but in Resident Evil.
Oh my god, that sounds incredible. I had no idea who you were talking about, but now I have a very distinct picture in my head of the kind of character you're talking about now.
And I hope Krauser lives up to that for you. There's a very homoerotic knife fight, which again, everybody talks about as being both one of the worst and best things about this game. And it ultimately, doesn't amount to anything. You'll have to play the game to find out. We'll have to
Funny.
see if
Wait,
they
wait. No,
build
just
on
just
that.
give me a yes or no though. Is this Leon Kennedy doing a gay knife fight
Yes.
with Captain America?
Well, no, it's
No,
more
I
it's
would say he's
more like
Mr. America Man.
it's more like U.S. agent. He is
or
the
Nuke
U.S.
for
agent.
like the really obscure Captain America villains that remember that guy.
um, and he's and Umbrella, like Al said, Umbrella is here. They're bringing Umbrella back into the mix. Because Code Veronica, kinda still Umbrella, weird little thing on an island, mentioning of stuff, but ultimately got kind of overshadowed by 3 and then 4 coming out.
Yeah. Funny story. When I last played this, I had one of the worst sinus infections ever. And I was just sick as a dog, just kind of like plowing through this video game to like, oh man, I can't really do anything besides lay here. Guess I'll play Resident Evil 4. It didn't start out that way. I felt good while I was in the middle of it, but like by the time like I was going through the knife fight and through like I was midway through the game. I was in the castle with what's his name? The Napoleon guy.
Which again, Fulana, we will not elaborate further.
Yeah, we're not going to
He's
elaborate.
getting better.
Napoleon guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a giant mecha. It's fine.
Yeah.
But
Don't worry
yeah,
about it.
yep. But like that, I was just sick as a dog, and I remember beating it all the way. I only started to really come around and feel better when I was doing the Ada side stories. What was it? Different ways or separate paths?
Separate ways.
Separate
So
ways.
split the difference.
Split the
Because I think, yeah, okay. So Resident Evil 4 was also the first game in the franchise that introduced mercenaries, like, or it's the one that people talk about. Like when people talk about enjoying playing mercenaries, it always comes back to this game. Even on the VR port, the thing that angered people the most was the fact that they didn't like the way mercenaries played in VR. So that was one of the things that got patched, like very, very quickly.
Oh, good.
And mercenaries is essentially just like this little like it's you pick whichever character you want to play as. You have a very specific inventory that you start off with, and you just go until the timer runs out, and you just kill stuff.
Oh,
Then that's it.
all
You
right.
just you have fun just with just attacking these dudes that are coming at you, and it's a good way to practice. Using weapons. It's a good way to explore some other characters that you really enjoy. I don't think it unlocks anything for the main game.
Not that I remember. I like that in
Yeah.
Mercenaries you get to play as Krauser though.
Yeah, you do. You get to play as Krauser. You get to play as Wesker. You get
Which was
Hunk.
really interesting because he
Yeah.
really wasn't in the game too much.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Because Falana, Wesker does serve a purpose to this game, but again, you don't. Where is it in the game? You'll have to look for it.
So he just sort of gets like a fun cameo appearance.
Yeah. 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 I think it is. I genuinely think he has like 3 lines,
About that.
but he does say words.
It's not like his weird appearance in Code Veronica where he just sort of shows up and like is another enemy fighting the final boss for a hot minute before just bouncing. Like, oh my goodness, that's a thing. Bye, Chris.
I gotta go now.
That's a fight, ain't it? See ya.
But yeah, there are a lot of fun, kooky things to this game, which is why I think it stands the test of time because there is so much to chew on and so much you can focus in on, and just when you think that like this game can't get any goofier but also more fun, it throws something else at you. It also really hammered in the format of that most Resident Evil games, follow, which is, just kind of your main area, and then you move on to a castle facility, bigger, like locked in internal location, and then you get to the lab, and every Resident even 7 and 8, well, yeah, I would say 8, 7 and 8 even follow like the same kind of format. It just kind of became the pure Resident Evil thing. Resident Evil 5 is the exact same format as Resident Evil 4 in a lot of ways. But it still kind of harkens back to even Resident Evil 2 had a similar kind of like very clear set of arcs.
Yeah, so it seems to be what the franchise kind of works with, like even to this day, to some extent. While we don't really get a lab per se in like 7 or 8, it feels like you're still getting that sort of rising, rising peak behind the curtain, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get escalation of situations, I feel like, in all of those games.
Yeah. But yeah, and I'm glad we did get a chance to play Resident Evil 2 before this, because, since we're following Leon, this kind of, he's kind of the even number games. The odd numbers are like Chris and Jill. Even numbers, that's Leon.
Yeah. Except for 6, which was everybody.
Yeah, 6 had a little bit of everyone. If we're counting VR, I believe 13 versions of Resident Evil 4 out there. Which version are you guys thinking?
I already own it on Steam because I knew we were going to play it at some point. So I'm going to see how it is.
I'm just going to go grab my PS2 copy and revisit that. I'm going to double check to see if I have a GameCube copy. I don't think I do, but if I do, I'll play it on the GameCube because I've never played it on the GameCube before, but I kind of want to do all of the side missions again too, so I'm probably just going to stick with the PlayStation 2 version.
Yeah, because the PlayStation 2 and then the HD version does have that additional. What is the second Ada campaign called? Separate Way. It's there. So there were 2 Ada campaigns. One of them was added afterwards. Sorry, Separate Ways is the one that was added. That's kind of meant to be a side story of what was Ada doing the whole time that that Resident Evil 4 was happening. And then there is Assignment Ada, which is on the GameCube version, but also ported to the other versions. That is a non-canon mini game kind of thing that happens with the best outfit she has in the franchise.
I agree, actually. Yeah, like it's like everyone's like the dress is iconic, sure, but we'll have these discussions about Ada's fashion choices another time. Because there's ways to get them. Like I don't know if there's any of them in the older versions, but like there's ways to get them in their original costumes, isn't there?
Yes, I believe. Yeah, the original one has definitely one costume change. I believe 2, because Leon's RPD costume is in every version.
Okay.
The one costume I know for sure, because I'm probably going to play my GameCube version. The one costume I know for sure that I will not have, that you guys will have access to. I don't remember Leon's outfit, but Ashley's outfit is a knight outfit.
Oh yeah,
like it's a suit of armor.
Yeah.
And I will not elaborate further.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, we didn't talk about Ashley.
No, we didn't.
But yes, who is Ashley? Because my entire Resident Evil experience right now is Leon Kennedy.
Wait. I have to ask. Are you a bad enough dude to save the president's daughter?
Are we? It's full My Date with President's Daughter?
Yes. And actually, every time I play this game, I don't know if I mentioned her on the podcast yet. Every time I mention Ashley, Yoko immediately starts singing My Date with the President's Daughter. Our buddy Yoko.
Immediately what I thought.
So Ashley is voiced by the same voice actress that voiced Sandy Cheeks. So she is a non-Texas, but very clearly same voice actress, Sandy Cheeks. She is the president's daughter. The whole reason Leon is here is that he, after his big crazy military training, after he got picked up by the government in Resident Evil 2 and was blackmailed into working with them for Sherry's safety, which is a whole other thing. He is assigned to protecting the president in case, God forbid, there's a bioweapon attack. And within like 5 minutes of his post, he has to go to Spain ish to go get Ashley, the
Spanish.
president's daughter. Yeah.
He has to go to a faux European country
Yeah.
that we have made up so it is not offensive. But that really doesn't work. But hey, we're going to stick with it.
Yep. And it's kind of like the inverse of Breaking Bad, where they have a lot of non-Mexican but still Spanish-speaking folks playing Mexican cartel. In Resident Evil, in this Resident Evil game, a lot of the ganados are speaking Mexican Spanish. But it
Despite
is
the
very
fact
much not
we are
Mexico.
clearly in Europe.
So Leon's whole reason for being over here is to get the president's daughter. And I think something to keep in mind as we're playing, there are escort missions. I have very specific feelings, but I'm not going to sway you one way or the other regarding Ashley. A lot of people are very passionate in their feelings about Ashley. So since you have not played it, you have to try to not listen to any of that and just experience Ashley and bring that with you.
But let's not spill too much about the story. We know that there's going to be Zambos. We know Leon is there, president's daughter. Ada's gonna bomb in on our day, and there's a gay knife fight. So I think we've primed
Very
ourselves. I think we've primed ourselves quite a bit for this game. I'm looking forward to it. This is one of my favorite games as well. Not as much as yours, Kit, but I'm very hyped to get into it. Falana?
I am definitely hyped for this game. I've heard this game hyped for a long time. So, and now I know that there's a gay knife fight. So, I mean, of course.
It's homoerotic. we can argue the merits of how gay it is.
That's pretty fair, because gay knife fight actually does imply something else entirely than a homoerotic knife fight. That's probably the safer, more G version of what we're talking about.
Well, no. I'm just saying it determine. We'll have to see. We will discuss, because it's about a 45-minute pure, half an hour to 45-minute segment as well that follows up the homoerotic knife fight. That is additionally homoerotic. And we could discuss the merits of how gay it is, but we have to experience it first. There could be an argument made for, is it homoerotic or is it gay?
That's very fair. All right, guys. Well, we will see you all very soon after we're done playing Resident Evil 4.
Yeah.
We will see you soon.
And we're back. It's been a long journey, but here we are, having all of us beaten Resident Evil 4.
It was a weird vacation in Spain. I'll say that.
It was absolutely Leon's terrible, horrible, no good Spanish vacation. But I'll tell you what, I had a really good time. I understand now why this is everybody's favorite game.
I actually have a curious question, like, before we get really into this. What versions did everybody play?
I played the original GameCube version, and I even whipped out my preview disc to replay that demo.
Ooh.
That's cool.
So my version might be a little more limited than what you guys played.
All right, I was playing the Steam version, so I think that's like a pretty complete version of it.
Yeah.
Yes. And then Al, what did you play on?
I played on the PlayStation 2, which was how I originally played it. So I went and had the, because that had all the bonus features back in the day, because the GameCube one didn't get that, because it came out first.
Yeah.
But I think, Falana, you probably played the most recent version of this game, and probably the one that has the most bells and most whistles.
No, it even had an update on Steam this week. I think because of it getting the remake release.
Yeah, Because yeah, there was a big release with some just kind of standard fixes for all of the Resident Evil PC games on Steam. I think it was something to do with the Windows Store. Um, but yeah, so from what I understand, my version, kind of the bare bones, came out. Al's version had all of the new kind of bells and whistles for the time, and then Fulani, the version you're playing, is the one where they've been just kind of fixing it up a little bit here and there. Ooh, this thing wasn't so good. Let me kind of slide this feature in.
Yes, and it is so polished. Like, for me, even the graphics, I think, really still hold up in terms of just all of the environments, like details, just all of it.
Yeah. Because I get a little bit of whiplash playing the HD Steam version. Like, I have not beaten it on my computer for that reason, because
Oh,
I'm so
really?
used to the fuzzy GameCube PS2 version of the graphics. Like, if I could de-HD it, like put a little like blur filter on, or I'll just take my glasses off and move away from the computer.
What's interesting is that there are a lot of games that do that exact thing. Like, there's like a weird like derez feature in it. I mean, this is going back a few years, but I remember when Halo got its HD re-release, and you could derez the entire game so it looked like it was playing on an Xbox One.
I had no idea. That's incredible.
That is.
But before we get too caught up, like talking about just the beauty between the versions, what was your first experience with Resident Evil 4 like?
Yeah, so this is me going in completely blind, having only played Resident Evil 2. We drop right in with Leon Kennedy. He's now a nice big action hero guy, and he now has the ability to suplex people and shoot their hats off. And you know what? I am just delighted by the entire thing.
I mean, because I think Action Hero is perfect, because I feel like that's exactly the vibe they were going for. The cheesy one liners, the dumb action sequences. You can kick 5 people at once and then
Yes.
suplex them.
And then at the end of almost getting mobbed by not zombies, where's everybody going? Bingo?
Your right hand comes off. You could go on all day with his shitty lines.
No
There's
thanks,
just
bro.
Yeah, Al, come on, hit us with one.
Yes. Give us the goods.
What's your favorite
my
Leon line?
favorite moment of Leon doing the action hero line was when Ashley was like desperately saying to him, like, hey, Leon, we can't turn. That's like I'm coming to you, man, and saying that can't happen. That's got to be. You know what to do when things go bad. And he's like, you're right. We'll find a cure. Like,
Yeah, we'll just find it laying on the
you
ground.
know, Leon, that wasn't what I was saying, but all right.
Not so well for him.
Yeah. And like in the legacy of these lines, like I was sitting playing it with my girlfriend, who it was her first Resident Evil, first man crush was Leon, like one of those fans, and we were sitting there every time a cutscene started. It would be just us voicing the lines to each other. They're classic. They're incredible.
They are.
So yeah, so do we want to talk about characters? Like take a pause and talk about the cast of
Yes.
non-monster characters.
Yes, absolutely.
I
really
mean,
would.
there's a
interact with
fabulous motley crew of monster and almost monster characters, too.
Yeah. So let's start Hunnigan. What are your thoughts on Hunnigan? She is the government liaison.
I am
The
so
spectacle-
surprised we didn't get a Solid Snake joke. I like
yeah.
or like a Leon, or any,
Oh, that would have been so perfect.
yeah, like I was so surprised that never happened, because when you first start the game, it is annoying how many times she calls you, and then like it never, and then like it slowly tapers off to like a, then the bad guys jack the line, and they're very much more infrequent than she is. But
She
Hunnigan,
sent
like,
you a literal player guide. She goes, Leon, I'm sending you over a player guide right now.
It's very
That's one of my
nice of her.
favorites.
yeah,
She's trying to be helpful.
she's doing her best. But like, what's it? The after post credit scene, like that kind of makes it all worth it.
Hunnigan,
Oh
no
yeah.
glasses.
Oh, the
Sup,
spectacled
girl?
babe.
How you doing?
To be fair,
Leon
he
had to
flirted
go
with.
for it.
Yeah, yeah. Ashley went for him. He went for her.
Yeah.
Done deal.
Story of my life. Like, all right, buddy. Okay.
Okay, so then we touched on hijacked by the bad guys, Salazar. I fucking love Salazar. Excuse my French. I love that guy. He's
Yeah.
so funny.
He is.
Little tiny Napoleon zombie man. He's perfect.
He's 20 years old.
He's 20 years old.
He's been 20 years old for a long time.
And he has to remind everyone that Leon's middle name is Scott.
Yeah.
Thanks for letting me know.
I was so confused when he went, Mr. Scott, and I'm like,
Mr. Scott.
who?
That's one of those things, like, I hope they don't... My only fear with the remake is that they might take some of the cheesiness out. The demo confirms some will still be there. I want him to keep calling him Mr. Scott, because that always tickles me. That it's so cheesy.
Yep.
It makes up for the Lewis.
I am very sad that in the demo I saw in the trailer, he doesn't have his hat. I want that little tri-corner hat.
Right? It's so, like, because everything about him and the way he's set up, like, when you go into that Spike room and he just kind of giggles and does his little jaunt as he leaves,
Yeah.
like, that lives rent-free in my head.
The villains, like Salazar especially,
Yeah,
are done so well and so memorable. I can't find flaw in A, their performances, and B, just their presence in the game. Like, because you really want to kick their asses. Like, doesn't matter which one they are, but Salazar especially, because he's effing with you the whole game or the whole level,
yeah.
really.
Yeah.
And he is so full of glee about it too.
Yeah, and see, and he has that perfect, like, what you would expect from an American action movie bad guy.
Yep.
He is kind of that.
No, I think the real action movie villain is Krauser, though.
Oh my god!
I'm an American.
Like the most.
Yeah, I love Krauser. Krauser is one of my favorite Resident Evil characters because he's kind of dropped in here. They infer there's going to be deeper lore. There is no deeper lore accessible within this game or any updates to the game. Like, what you see is what you get. And he is just cheesy American man that is a bullet sponge. So, and I guess he respects the knife fighting that he taught you so much that you can cheese the fight by knife fighting him. If you stab him with your knife, he goes down very quickly.
Really?
Interesting.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm like, this is the homoerotic knife fight I was
Yes.
I was told about.
You were promised, yes.
There is no
I was
heterosexual answer for this, yeah.
Yeah. But I think talking about Krauser, I think it is fair to dip into the QuickTime cutscene that you do with him.
There's
that
so
knife
many
fight.
QuickTime events in this game.
Yeah.
I kept on, like, relaxing when the cutscenes went on. Like, okay, great. I could just listen for a second. Oh, no.
No.
Oh, no.
And that cutscene, it's what, like 5 or 6 of them? Just at least in a row. And if you miss one, that's it. Cutscene's over. Start
dead.
Again.
Oh,
Die, comrade!
Even worse for QuickTime events was the giant Salazar robot.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Did
yeah.
you forget the Salazar robot?
No, yeah. It's because because that one, I enjoy it so much that I forget, oh, wait, no. QuickTime event.
Yes, so many QuickTime events.
So good.
I'm actually curious. Do we think the giant Salazar robot is going to be in the remake?
It better.
I wanted to. They put the alligator in, the sewer alligator, in a lesser form. Like, it wasn't a proper teased fight. But I kind of hope all the cheesiness of the castle is there. I want the big robot. I want the weird, like, roller coaster Disney ride. Or I guess it's
Neat.
not so much a roller
All of the
coaster, you know?
little
Yeah.
pendulum knife rooms.
Yeah.
Like, it's perfect.
If anything's gonna get cut, it probably will be those things, but I hope just give us one. If they give us just the robot, I can excuse letting the rest of it go. But the robot is so Salazar. It is a giant, much bigger than he could ever dream to be. Just walking toy.
How would we feel if we get to a scene where Leon's walking by and like there's the giant Salazar statue, like, and it has motorized function, like we still walk on the hands thing, and then he goes to walk away, kind of looks back and like, no, that wouldn't happen, and like it's kind of like a weird nod to it, like he
I
looks
could
back as
accept
he's walking
that.
in the hall, it's like, no, okay, it's not gonna move, all right.
Yeah, I could
Aw.
accept that. I could accept that if it's like a cheesy kind of nod to it,
Yeah.
personally. But so let's I guess go back a little bit. The big cheese. The first
Big
guy, the guy
cheese.
that follows us around, in the village, first big boss fight. Um,
Bitores Mendez.
yes. What is the vibe with him?
I actually like his boss fight is one of my favorites, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the Two-Face boss fight of it. I also just like he's a giant centipede man. That's
No,
fun
I
for
do like
me.
that he's a centipede man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
But you
found
go
it
for
kind of
Lana.
forgettable somehow, even though he is a giant centipede man. It was like
Ooh.
it felt very straightforward. Like, all right, you just go after him and his squishy bits.
Yeah. So then no struggles with like him chasing you around. Like you just kind of were like, okay, I'll just take this guy out real fast. Pop, pop, pop.
Yeah, pretty much.
Huh. Because for me, because I again, the last time I played this game, it's been a little bit, was like, during my speed running this game a lot and doing new game pluses, so you can get through him pretty quickly. So my playthrough, I just started fresh save going through. And for me, I forgot how kind of like scary that is in the beginning of the game when you don't have a lot of ammo, you don't have a lot, your weapons aren't really powered up, you really can't power them up too much, and
Mhm.
it is just running around in circles, like trying to get a shot in. So it's interesting.
Yeah. It's if you're not being super conservative with your resources, it can be a fight. Which I guess is true of any of these things. Like I sadly, like, moving off of him for a hot minute, the Salazar boss fight is
Yeah.
always the one I cheat, and I didn't
Yeah.
do any different this time. I went in there. It's like, okay, all right, rifle shot the eye, missile launcher the dude, fight's over. All right, that was 2
Yeah.
shots. Good. All right, good game, guys.
I got to finish the Salazar fight super easy too somehow. Like those were my two easiest boss battles.
Yeah.
Like they really telegraphed to you, okay, you shoot his giant gross eyeball and then you shoot his little tiny gross body and you're done. I just used my magnum on him. Pop pop
Yeah.
pop, he's done.
Yep.
Because the cheesing I usually do is just kind of standing far to the sides to shoot the eyeballs and stuff and such, because he can't hit you there with his tentacles. And then because so fun fact, most people suggest that you save that rocket launcher, the one that you get kind of in the middle of the castle,
Yeah.
either for the Novistador hive, so that there's less of them you have to fight after they kidnap Ashley, or for the Salazar boss battle, so that you can just be done.
Really? I used him on Verdugo.
Ooh, also a fair choice.
Oh yeah.
I did that on my first playthrough, and then I bought a missile launcher for the boss fight. Well, I didn't do that for this fight. I'd used the Magnum on the on what was it,
Verdugo.
Verdugo. Yes, I used the
Yeah,
Magnum on
the
Verdugo.
xenomorph type guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cause see, I kind of run. I time out Verdugo and just kind of hop on the elevator and go.
Oh, but then
Save
you
some
don't get his
ammo.
treasure.
Yeah. Cause I did 2 playthroughs. One I did just like completely natural first save, and then I skipped to one of my like 5 or 6 in playthroughs where I have an infinite rocket launcher and that's it. Tons of money, infinite rocket launcher, and it really puts in perspective how much fun some of these boss battles are, but then also how quickly you can just get through them. Because it is Verdugo, you just hit him in the face with the rocket launcher or your magnum, and he's done.
Yep.
Trying to
I
think
love
what
his design though. Like it is very much like I said, like Xenomorph, but like it
Yeah.
is also it's Man Bug is really what it is.
Yeah.
But like it's more so than the like giant insect creatures you see throughout the castle. This guy is far like God. It's such a cool design. I know it's
Yeah.
simple, but like I really like it.
Yeah,
Well,
he
no, and
just
he's
sneaks
kind of
around and whips you.
yeah, and he's kind of got that tyrant energy too. Like it's
Yes,
the closest kind of
Oh,
feeling we have to a
yeah.
tyrant looking thing in this game.
absolutely. He is very Mr. X in
Yeah.
aesthetic. Yep.
Yeah. Because yeah, I don't want to get to the late creatures yet, because the those guys are gonna be their own talk. But what are the vibes on some of the creatures? Because like I like the Novistadors, the little buggy guys. They for some reason, whenever I see them, and it might be because of like when I played the game and I loved the Scooby Doo live action movie when I was a kid, something about them makes me think of those monsters in the live action Scooby Doo movie.
Really?
Like the
Oh,
way their limbs
yeah.
are and the way they like fall over, like something about it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The monster I was the most scared of, the Regenerators.
But
Just
they're so cool.
their
It's
breathing in the hallways. I'm just like, ah. And they just lumber towards you. And you have to
mhm,
just try and make sure your shots are right. Or
yep.
else.
And then alongside that, the Iron Maiden, when they then throw that at you, it's like, oh, how would you take
Yeah.
this already scary thing and make it worse?
Yep. Oh. There's that great scene where you jump down down the waist the trash chute Star Wars style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Ashley is laying on top of one and Leon's like, "Oh, let's just move. Let's just go."
Yeah, let's just go. Because they had
Yeah,
such a
Ashley's like,
cute
oh, what's that thing?
All
It's
right,
like,
let's
don't
not
worry
worry about it.
about
Let's
it.
just go. Let's get out of here.
because they had such a cute little moment, right before that, like, no way. And and then it's that. It's like,
Yep.
oh shit. Wait, no, we're still in a bad place. But going back to like some of the earlier ones, what because because the middle section is so strong, but
Yeah.
let's
The
let's
aesthetics
talk
of it
about
are
the
so yeah,
Oh,
they
yeah.
stick with you more than anything else in the game.
yeah. But
I
let's
mean,
let's
my
talk about the
favorite boss
village.
battle was Del Lago, though.
Yeah. I love Delago because it's so different than anything else in the game. It's this nice little like breaking things up. Um yeah, he's so cool. He's such
Yeah.
a cool little guy.
You just get to harpoon a whale monster on a boat.
Yeah.
It's just kind of out of nowhere, but I was just delighted.
Yeah. And then I have two little secrets, two little nuggets actually based around that. So, when you are first approaching the lake, if you try to shoot some of the fish, because you can shoot the fish, pick them up, have them as health items, carry them around in your briefcase, it's fine. No one cares. If you shoot the fish in the water on that dock before going into the boss battle, he will jump out of the water and eat you. And then, second cool little thing based around the lake after that boss battle, if you decide, I don't like that it's dark, I'm going to go back to the village for something, and you go back across the water and you go like you're going back to the village, you can actually see the dogs for the first time. It's like you get a cool little cutscene, and there's, depending on the level, I think there's like 3 or so of them, and you can fight them or run away terrified.
Oh yeah,
Interesting.
that was one part. I went up to them, and I thought they were nice good dogs because I had just finished the El Gigante fight with
Yeah.
your good dog friend,
Mm-hmm.
Hey,
and
it's that
then
dog.
oh no, it's not that dog.
No, they are not the happy dogs.
No.
They are
I
very
forgot
unhappy.
there were dogs in this game.
Oh no!
When they showed up, I was like, "What is? Oh, there are zombie dogs in this game. I forgot there were zombie dogs.
There is
And
one good dog.
Yeah,
Well,
only
Only
one.
one.
not so much, just one.
Yeah. Yeah, that
But
left
they
over
are.
from when this game was supposed to be a haunting ground.
Yep, that is the prototype of Huey.
Yep,
Little
Oh,
nod to
Huey.
Huey. Um,
the best dog companion in all of video games.
yeah, the best. I mean, let's backtrack a bit, because again, talking about the castle, the village. How did you feel with that first section when you get to the village and it is go? The moment they see you, it is just wave after wave of Ganado, including our friend Dr. Salvador.
Oh, Dr. Salvador is terrifying
Mhm.
every time.
Yeah.
I got poor Leon's head chainsawed off more
Oh
times than
no.
I can count.
It's such cool death animations, though.
It is
And
like the death
Is.
animation with the scythe is also really good. Yeah.
and he makes whale noises when he dies. Like, come on.
But just the fact that you could sort of strategize the way you were moving through the village to try and like guide the villagers into like choke points or like
Mhm.
block off entrances and exits
Yeah.
blew my mind. I did not
Yeah.
know they were doing that stuff in 2005.
Mhm. Like there's a shocking amount of potential strategy to this game, which again is can be the frustrating thing with the dynamic difficulty, where you can use those same strategies in different playthroughs, and just depending on how well you're hitting things, if you accidentally died earlier, or if you haven't died at all, and in the past you have, that can adjust the amount of like enemies coming at you. And then your strategy that has worked previously may not work at all.
I got lucky that the first time I played this was identical to the time I'd played it recently, where I didn't trigger the chainsaw guy because I never went inside the buildings. I would just kind of like pull a few of them over and just take them out. And I never had the need to go inside the building to get the shotgun, so I got to get my resources and stuff after everybody went away due to the bell. Which the first time was by accident, the second time was purposeful.
I'm gonna be real. I didn't realize you couldn't change spawn the chainsaw guys. I thought, and again, because I always like speed run, just run to the house, get the shotgun, and
Mhm.
wait it out. I thought you had to get the shot, like go into the house with the shotgun to get
To
the timer
progress.
going.
No,
Oh.
So cool.
yeah, I've both times I've just sort of picked people off as time has gone on, and like eventually the bell will ring and they'll head out
Okay.
without me having to go inside the main building and trigger chainsaw guy. So my first time with him is like much later on. Well, not that further on, but like it doesn't have the
Yeah.
iconic moment of me in the house just kind of being like, oh no.
Yeah. But so Falana, how did your playthrough go? Did you like end up in the house first? Did you try running away and then the chainsaw guy popped out? Which route did you take?
I thought the chainsaw guy popped out before I even went into the house. Like, you do the classic. They give you that little path as you're going into the village. You
Mhm.
go around. There's that one woman you can like stealth pick off.
Mhm.
Snuck around the back of the house, hopped over that one fence, and like once you get past that one fence and start to
Yeah.
go up that one path, there he is, and then all
Mhm.
bets are off.
Because you can spawn him there. So that's why, like, I always stick to the front of the village or just beeline it to there. Because
Mhm.
yeah, you can end up fighting him without or getting scared by him without even knowing there's a shotgun available.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I was just running all over the place
You didn't even
that
get the
first time
intro
through.
cutscene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I guess comparatively, because you have that big gun battle, and then later on we got the house with Luis.
Funny story, I thought this was like a rail shooter thing at first.
Oh
So
no.
while we were
Ooh.
in this house, like with Luis and Leon like shooting through the window, I just kept on shooting through that window until a horde of zombies came up from behind me. And I'm
Oh
like, oh
no.
no, I could have done stuff in this house.
Oh no.
I felt so stupid. I forgot you could push the cabinets in front of the windows.
Ooh.
I
See, that's what happens when you don't go into the shotgun house.
I just
Oh
forgot
no.
you could do it. I was just sitting there like, "Oh, I could do the thing." Like, "Oh no, I didn't." Oh, all right. Like I was like looking around there, being like, I pushed the ladders off. I remembered that part up on the top floor, but I just forgot. Oh, you can push the things over. Oh, okay, never mind. Silly me. Whoopsies.
Yeah, because
It was
that
the house
my
of whoopsies.
yeah, because that's one of my favorites because of like figuring out the strategy. Fun little thing with this because I accidentally the very first time, like I distinctly remember this. If you accidentally, because friendly fire is on, if you accidentally shoot Luis enough times, he will turn around and just shoot you dead.
Oh.
Because at that point, you're more of a hindrance than a help.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Because you have a gun, they don't. He can
Yeah.
handle this on his own.
Yeah.
Like he just turns around and bop, dead.
Dang.
But yeah, I really enjoy the strategy of this. And again, the fun thing of playing it with my girlfriend is that her approach to it was very different. So she was like, no, you got to do this, this, and this. And I'm like, but this is how I've done it. Because like her strategy is you just go to the second floor and you just wait for them to start coming upstairs. That way you kind of have that choke point. Whereas I'm like, I wanna handle the bottom floor and then go upstairs, handle the top floor once they start spawning in there.
Yeah.
And both are equally like you're in there the same amount of time, you are shooting the same amount of guys. It is just preference for where you want to be.
That makes sense though. Like, I can imagine someone being like, "All right, push the cabinets over the windows because they're already blocked up, and then just go up on the second floor and wait." Like, it's because they're gonna break in up there before they break in down there, probably.
Yeah.
But,
Um,
but speaking of that particular set piece, the intro to it is really awkward.
Yeah. I see the president has equipped his daughter with ballistics.
And I'm just like, what are you who are you big dogging here?
But then the thing is, then she shuts it down.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, okay, all right. It's like, no, homie, you were in the wrong. She just caught you out. Relax.
Yeah. Like, hey, what's up? Or like, it boggles my mind how I ever thought this woman was a teenager. How I ever thought that. Because, like, looking at her,
Wait,
she's
is
as
she
tall
not
as
supposed to be a
Leon is.
teenager?
Huh?
No, she's 20.
Oh.
Yeah, she's a college student. She was kidnapped from college.
From university.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, because I'm looking at her and I'm like, you are as tall as Leon is. And I'm just like, why did I think you were a child? Like what? Like, it's the outfit. The outfit just makes you automatically like think like little girl, but like she's not. Like, I imagine it was trying to go for that like prep school kind of like.
Yeah.
She's a daughter of a politician, family
Yeah.
of money, that's one of the things that frustrates me with fans that complain about, oh, she's useless. Like, first of all, put her in a dumpster, she's fine. Put her on a high spot away from the enemies, she's fine.
Yeah.
But complaining about the fact that she can't do anything, she is a 20-year-old girl from an affluent family in America. She doesn't know how to shoot a gun. She's not going to know how to shoot a gun. She doesn't know how to dodge a bullet. She doesn't know how to fight a guy. She's never had to deal with anything like that.
But
Why
she
would you
knows how to
expect
drive
this
a bulldozer.
Yeah. She can. She's like, all right, I got this.
Listen, rich people do weird stuff. I don't know. She wasn't a gun rich girl. She was a driving trucks rich girl.
There you go. Yeah.
But
That
there
was
is a
another
whole
moment
section you go through as her. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
That was another moment I just forgot was in the game. We got there and I was like, what's going on here? Like, oh.
That's a great one to forget though, because you get there and then it's like you get to relive this is so freaking weird. Wow. We're doing this, okay.
Oh yeah, she just takes charge.
Mm-hmm. Man. Falana, what were you saying?
And there's a whole section of the game you get to be her, and she holds her own.
Yeah.
She does not get to fight anybody, but by God, she gets away.
Yeah. I mean, you can light people on fire if you so chose. You can just throw those things at them.
Ooh.
All right, so I have a small bomb to drop, actually.
Okay.
That was my favorite part in the game.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
My favorite part
That's
in the game is uh being Ashley for that very short amount of time. Like I was probably the time I was having the most fun, um, with some exceptions in the island. But like that, like her section, I was is very short, but like it really felt very very good. I don't know if it's from coming from Resident Evil 2 to this one that was oddly suddenly nostalgic for me. But like this is to continue on that bomb drop. I have something bigger that I actually I've been kind of
ooh.
holding back because I want us to have a lot
Oh.
of build up to like have some time with the game and talk about it. So full disclosure, I did not enjoy this.
Ooh.
I
Okay.
actually did not have that great a time.
Okay.
Really? Wait,
Yeah.
why?
Let's dive into that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was so bizarre because like as soon as I got to the village and that section where I was going to like going through everybody in the opener credits show up with Resident Evil 4, I
Mhm.
I was immediately filled with this wave of I don't want to do this.
Ooh.
I don't feel like playing through the rest of this, but I'm committed. I got to go. And I have to imagine it was very similar to the feeling that Kit you got when you were playing Ocarina of Time and you were like, I don't want to do this. Like,
This is raw. This is because with Ocarina of Time, it was kind of that reality of, oh, this is going to be really tedious for me
yep.
because it's not sucking me in. This is going to be tedious, and I could definitely see if you get to the village and you're already dreading it, that feeling of this is going to be tedious. I don't wanna.
I mean,
I can see that with this game. Yeah.
yeah, it's not comparable because Zelda is a much longer game than this is. This is a weekend.
Yeah.
You know, it's like
Yeah.
But this game, if you really don't want to do it, and I mean, and thankfully it wasn't your first time through, so you kind of knew where to
yeah,
go and what to do. If you don't, this game could get very tedious very quickly
yeah, we're
and end up
talking like this was like 15
longer.
hours. That's not a
Yeah.
lot, you know. So, but like it was so surreal playing through the game, like cuz I don't know what it was. I don't know why I was suddenly cuz this was a watershed game for me when I first played it. It was one of the games that got me into video game collecting. It stood as a high benchmark of video games that I loved for a very very long time, and I went through it, and I don't know if maybe it's just that the PS2 version has aged very poorly, which is entirely possible because the graphics look like hot garbage on the
Oh.
PS2
Yeah.
version. So it was very frustrating seeing anything that I wanted to hit, and the aiming was always slightly off, and I was very frustrated with it. So much so that I've killed Ashley way more times here than I ever did on my first playthrough. Like I just even with a rifle in hand, I will just shoot that woman dead.
No.
Well, I can piggyback on this because this experience did feel very different for me. Because again, there's been a block of time since I was, playing this game a good chunk again. Um, and it did feel a lot rougher this time. I thought maybe it's because, like, because I couldn't find my glasses the whole time that I was
Oh no.
playing through the game. So, but then it's on my big HD TV that is a far enough distance away that I have the natural blur. I could see it enough, but thankfully it's an old game. I'm not playing it to make it look pretty. And so I was like, my eyes are getting getting tired real fast. Like I'm really struggling with this. But as I went on and kind of had the nostalgia wash over me, I was kind of like, okay, no, I'm still having fun with it. But I think I've kind of gotten to the point where I'm playing so many modern games that it is harder to come back to this. Like I had to do it in more little bursts to maintain the fun. Like I would play like a chapter at a time and then take
Yeah.
a break, come back to it the next day. Um, that I would say I do still enjoy it. Do still really enjoy this game, but it's definitely one that I don't need to go back and replay it a lot because it is kind of it's getting hard to go back to games from this generation.
It is, which is really strange. And
Mhm.
I don't
That
know
is so
if
fascinating to me because, like, for me, going from playing newer shoot 'em up type games to this, I felt like as I was playing this game, my aim was improving. Like, I was
Yeah.
actually learning how to, like, aim in video games. I play a lot of Fallout, which you don't have to aim necessarily. So that's huh.
One thing that I really like about Resident Evil as a whole, they all tend to still have this vibe, and I think it's very true in this game, is the fact that as your weapons get stronger, you feel more confident, your aim gets better, and so it's always the beginning. Like it was the village that I had that kind of like, I'm not doing so well. I don't know how much I'm going to enjoy actually playing the game, even though I do still love this game this time around. But then as my weapons got more powerful, as I'm kind of getting through, as you get to the castle, for me, I was like, okay, no, I am having fun. It's just that beginning dread, relearning the controls, relearning how to use a GameCube controller for this game. And I still have my original GameCube controller from when it came out. I and this actually might be part of my negative experience. My controller was accidentally like aiming up, and it took me probably two like sub chapters before I realized, oh no, it's my controller that's broken. It's not supposed to be aiming up like that.
Oh no! Oh no!
Oh
And the thing
no.
is, like, because I played the first two on my own, and then again, my girlfriend came over and she was like, why is the camera aimed up at the ceiling? And I was like, oh wait, it wasn't just like that on the GameCube version. And then I unplugged it. I plugged in my like off-brand GameCube controller, and it went back. And I was like, oh, oops.
I wish that was what happened with me. Where like, oh, my controller's broken. Like, no, I was just bad.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what it was. I
Yeah.
couldn't click with me again, and it's very interesting. But like I'm glad I wasn't the only one noticing some rougher patches going back to
Yeah.
it. But me and you went back to it on like our original game versions. Falana's playing this very slick, updated, clean version of the game, so the graphics don't look like like trash, and
Yeah.
probably any like awkwardness that with the controls has been sort of ironed out at this point, so it's a little bit more of a easier time, not easier, but like a smoother time
Yeah.
than what we might have had.
On
'Cause I
that
do
note, did all of us play the new remake demo that just came out?
I did like 4 times.
I watched someone else play through it.
Okay.
Yeah.
'Cause so just because I mentioned it in the beginning, I do have the GameCube Resident Evil preview disc that has a bunch of just trailers and stuff on it, but then a demo of specifically Resident Evil 4, and it is practically the same length. It goes through the same exact kind of little bit of the beginning up through the village, which I thought was really neat.
That is a nice
Wait.
touch.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
And I will say, I did have that experience of you go back, you're replaying that starting bit of the game, you don't have any of your nice weapons or any of the resources that you gather over time. I was struggling again, like
Yeah.
all over again, trying to
And
navigate the village without my
and
shotgun.
it can be hard going from, hey, I'm very powerful. I'm at the end of Resident Evil 4. Look at me, big, strong. And then you throw yourself in the demo and go, oh, wait, where's the big strong? Where'd it go?
I just have my handgun again.
Yeah. But then the thing that I really appreciated about the demo was that it is the exact same layout of the village. And you can go through it the exact same way. It's a little neater, it's a little tightened up because, HD remake yet, but it felt very much like, okay, cool. I am playing the same thing in the same way, just in a slightly different format.
No, yeah, and all the enemies are in the same spots and everything. I
And you
noticed
can
that immediately.
yeah, you can properly stealth kill. You can just go up and in the neck, like really cool.
No, yeah, that is such a nice upgrade in this remake, is you can actually do proper stealth.
Yeah. Wait, but there's something we haven't touched on with the original game just yet, and that's the story.
Oh yeah.
What story?
Kinda exactly.
Wasn't this
So
just action movie lines and failed flirtations? There was a plot here. I didn't.
well, see, because that's one of the things that I'm very excited because we got more plot in the beginning cutscene of the demo, which makes me very happy because it tied in a bunch of things that should have been in the original game. But it's
Yeah.
like a cutscene from the end of Resident Evil 3. Not cutscene, a like flashcard from the end of the original Resident Evil 3. Reference something in here. The stuff with Krauser, like they gave us more in that opening cutscene.
I really,
They
really
did.
want to know what was the plan with Krauser. Did they think they were going to do a
Same.
prequel game? Like, because they drop you so in media res where it does feel like it's excusable because it's 4, and if you just walk into it without having played the other ones, you assume that backstory's there, so you don't really
Yeah.
care. But like, knowing full context, there's no explanation for a lot of things. Like, Leon is like, oh yeah, Ada's alive. Like, you knew that? I didn't.
Right?
Wait, yeah, I
Yeah.
assumed he was in 3. Is he not in 3?
No.
Krauser? No, Krauser's in
Oh.
no other game.
Oh.
Not a single other game. Okay, so the from the external outside of Resi 4, in Resi 4, all you get with Krauser is they trained together, did some kind of mission stuff together. Krauser now works for Wesker. He kidnapped Ashley. He's ex-military. Like, it's vague little things, and there's some kind of heated history between Leon and Krauser. What we eventually get in a prequel game was Darkside Chronicles. So Krauser and Leon, according to the official Resident Evil canon up to now, is literally just they had a weekend in South America where Krauser was like, you know, I don't remember if he was a mercenary at that point. I don't think so. But he was maybe a mercenary. Leon is U.S. government. They go rescue a little girl. It's very Resident Evil 2-ish, and it's just kind of this homoerotic weekend. And then that's it. Krauser fakes his death, goes to work for Wesker. That's all the backstory there is between them. But Resident Evil 4 seems like it's a lot more intimate than a weekend in South America.
What happened on that weekend?
Because they have matching knives.
Yeah, you don't have matching knives. There either is no heterosexual explanation for this, or there's more backstory there.
And they just chose to not pursue this at all.
Yeah, I'm with Al. I wonder, were they hoping for a prequel backstory chance? Were they hoping to flesh it out and just didn't get around to it? Like, there seems like there should be so much more with Krauser, and there is nothing else with him.
And it isn't really just Krauser, because Umbrella is taken out off screen.
Yeah, Umbrella's taken out off screen.
Yeah,
100% wiped out. They got in big trouble for Raccoon City, and it just no longer exist. Allegedly.
I mean,
legally they no longer exist.
Yeah, but
even though Wesker is very much still there.
Yeah.
Well, Wesker's not Umbrella anymore.
Mm.
He's vague third company. Eventually ends up with Tricell in Resi 5. But at this point, it's vague. Wesker's doing stuff. If you even notice that he's in the game.
Yeah. Yeah, he really is only in separate ways or mentioned by the other characters. So Wesker makes sense as like, you know, vague background villain, because, you know, we're hyping him up for but as far as like Ada being alive, the player at the time must have been like, oh,
it was
crap.
shocking. Yeah. She was dead. She fell to her death or was shot dead. Like, she was no questions asked.
Ada!
We all saw it. We played Resi 2.
Yep.
Dead.
And Leon is like, no, it's true. You're working with Wesker. Like, is that what that's what you're questioning right now, Leon? That's the thing that you're not that she's alive.
No, she just kick flips herself back into existence.
Yeah. And again, he, like, that was one of the only things that really, because there's, you know, you kind of go into it, you realize real fast, okay, they're not focusing on story. But that was frustrating because that was such a big part of like Leon's character in Resi 2 was Ada, was the trauma of that. And he's like, oh, okay. I magically have this knowledge that you're working with Wesker. No explanation, no talking about it, no post-game files, no in-game files denoting that like he had any idea of researching this. Just no,
Nope.
I hand of God, no. We need to
Somehow,
mention
Ada
Wesker
returned.
somehow.
Or how about just like, so you're alive, huh? Like any of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, like you could play it off as like you're trying to be army cool guy, like you're angry about this, you don't know how to process it, and it's oh, you are alive. Like you could play it off.
Yeah.
But
Leon focusing on the wrong thing. It's like
yeah. But again, but I will say, try knives next time. Like that whole speech, like what are you doing? You're trying so hard to be action cool guy in front of your dead love interest from
I'll be
7 years
real.
ago.
In that one scene, he is pretty action cool guy. Like I like
Yeah.
that is pretty like he does get one up on her. Like it's the only
Yeah.
one he gets, but it's pretty good.
I mean, she brought a gun to a knife fight and he won.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And so Falana, how did you understand the plot of kidnapping Ashley?
I mean,
How much
this is one of those things that I did not think too hard about. Like,
Yeah.
all right, gotta find the kidnapped president's daughter.
Are you a bad
Leon
enough
Kennedy
dude to save
is
the president?
there. Something. Oh no, he's got a parasite. Something. Rocket launcher.
Yeah. And to be fair, I mean those are the bare bones. Because they try to inject other little things to be like, yeah, we're gonna make like Krauser kidnapped her and brought her to get to win a plaga sample from Sadler, and Sadler gave him one of the nicer ones, but like wouldn't give him another one because Krauser was actually there to steal a sample to bring it to Wesker, and when he couldn't do that, then Wesker sent Ada in, and they were supposed to work together to get the sample. But then, there's all of these. They're trying to push these little intricacies. But it's like, homie, I feel like a solid half of the players definitely didn't get the plot because it's so silly and wafer thin, and you don't need it. No one is asking how we actually ended up here.
I did get enough. Like,
Yeah.
Okay, there's a third player who is Wesker. Wesker is kind of puppeting these two other third parties, and Luis as well. You eventually find out. But what's very strange about it, like, you don't really get why he wants the president's daughter and why he doesn't just let Leon take her home. Because if the plan is implant her with the thing, she has the thing, send her back, and
right.
Why not just let Leon like finish his mission and just send her home with it?
Wait, yeah, because the plan
was always my thought.
Yeah, the plan was you would infect her with the parasite, she gets mind controlled, and then she yada yada take over the U.S. government.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. The plan was hey, let's infect her, make sure it works, and then send her home. So then why not just let Leon take her? It'll take effect on the way back. He would have no reason of knowing what was going on. Instead, Sadler shows up, explains the whole plot to Leon, when he could have, again, especially after they infected Leon, before Leon knew what was going on, let him take her home, go home, take over America.
Yeah.
That's it.
And my other thing about it is, like, I get wanting to infect him as like backup plan. It's like, okay, just so that there are no, oversights, let's infect the bodyguard too, just to make and we'll occupy him until the thing takes over enough and we don't have to worry about it. And I get that, like, and he still has to do his mission, but also at a certain point, like, I guess there is a threshold where they do say, like, all right, he's not worth it anymore, F him. And there's the ritual.
Yeah, what was?
Yeah, they keep talking about the ritual.
No, Salazar
it was very important.
Salazar talks about a ritual a lot.
Yep. And it's vague evil thing of vague evil, and then we show up, and he's like, "Oh, it's over. You missed it."
Yeah. Yeah. Because why
What was
not?
it? I don't know.
Yeah. Because I assumed it was something to do with like getting Ashley's parasite to like fully take over her. Yeah. But it's like vague evil thing that they don't go into. It's kind of, but I always have stood with the idea of Sadler didn't have to explain the plot to Leon.
No.
You could have occupied him, or even if you let the both of them go home, chances are on the flight back, you would have the parasites would have fully taken over. Would have been none the wiser. You know, she's got a little cough. She's coughing up blood. Okay, that's concerning, but they're probably not going to figure it out. If they figure out she's infected with something, it's going to be too late by the time then they try to figure out any kind of cure. It would have made more sense to send her back. They can't because video game action movie logic. We gotta be stuck on the island. But as far as the evil plan goes, he really screwed up.
Yeah, I have to imagine, but there's no line of dialogue that says it that they can't send her back until a certain period of gestation. So they're like trying to play keep away with Leon until that finishes, and which is fine, but like you need a line of dialogue for that. Like, someone needs to say like, well, we can't give him over to her yet. We need like X amount of time for things to really take hold, and we know everything's set. And like,
Right.
but that dialogue doesn't happen.
Yeah. And the funny thing is there are so many other throwaway lines of dialogue for still like, everything out of Krauser's mouth is a throwaway line of dialogue to kind of flesh out his character and make him seem more important to Leon than he really is.
Yeah.
Because again, they don't establish that. Why could you not just do some throwaway lines for this?
And Sadler
Yeah.
is so invested in you Americans and your action movies. Oh, like you could have wasted any of that time where you sit there and you have this bit that doesn't really land
Yeah.
on any dialogue that helps further along what your evil scheme is. And I guess like the game makes it on vibes alone for the most part. Yeah, like again, when it came out, it made it on vibes alone. My playthrough this time notwithstanding.
Yeah.
Where a lot of Sadler's shtick really was like, all right, buddy, come on. Salazar was fun and funny. You're just like talking with this faux European accent and like,
Yeah, what was his accent?
I don't know.
Do
Was
any
it
of us know?
supposed to be something?
I guess effeminate European. Like
Yeah, vague European something.
yeah. Sadler's a weak final boss. Like, not the boss fight itself, but like as the main villain, he's got a cool design, but overall he's pretty weak in comparison to his lackeys.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
lacks the charisma of Salazar.
Yeah.
Really.
Or the
Yeah.
intimidation of the chieftain.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
See, and Yeah, one of the things that gets me is Sadler in that opening scene you have with him in that church after you get Ashley. It's like, okay, this dude is going to command, he's going to be big, he's going to be scary. But then as you go through, you got the big cheese, you got Salazar, and they're both like, Salazar especially is so overwhelmingly present that then when you get to like the island and it's like, okay, you got Krauser, but then you get rid of him real fast. And then you kind of get to Sadler and it's like, oh, there was so much personality to this point, and then it's like,
Yeah. Because even
okay.
Krauser, with all his faults, is
Yeah.
big and bombastic and kind of like,
Mhm.
not like you could prolong your inevitable death. It's like, damn, all right.
No, he's got so much personality.
Yeah.
Like he designs this whole little gauntlet for you to go through.
Yeah, and then again, when you knife fight him in that fight, when you're slashing at him, he literally goes like, "Ooh, good job, Leon," and then fucking flashbangs you and leaves. Flash bomb gone until you fight him again.
Yeah.
Like a magician.
Yeah, who's praising you for stabbing him?
I mean, I hated that boss fight with Krauser. Like that for me was one of the like points where I was really frustrated. But
for me, that's probably one of my favorites. But again, because I know the knife thing, because there's something so fun about a boss where it's like they want you to knife fight him.
Maybe I should have used the knife instead of the shotgun or the machine rifle or whatever. I can't remember. TMP, I think it's called. But
Yeah.
But man, he's so much more personality than Sadler. Even Army dude who's army strong on his mutant steroids is cooler and more interesting than our main villain, who, again, props to it, cool design. I like the robe and the outfit, the whole 9 yards, fine. But it's not interesting. And I also, it's just it's cool final boss design, great on that. But like, I'm so let down because even as his plans are crumbling around him, he is the last man standing on the island. Everything else is over. The game's done, bro. He's still big dogging you. He's still like, haha, you think you've won. Oh man, isn't that pathetic that you think like the parasites are gone. Your plan is foobarred. Who do you think
everyone's
you are?
dead?
Yeah. all your dudes are gone.
Like, it's over, homie. It's over.
He just denials his way into being a gross Spider-Man.
Yep.
All right.
Okay, fam. Whatever. Like the big spider eyeball man. Which, again, cool design. I like that. The way it is a big giant spider crab man monster with a one hand that's a tentacle for some reason. His one human hand turns to a tentacle because, why not?
Because why not?
Yeah.
And then he gets an eyeball in his mouth, and you gotta shoot his eyeball mouth.
Yeah. With a rocket launcher that is dropped to you by Ada, reminiscent of Resi 2.
Great callback. I love that bit.
And then I do love then so Big Bad dead, and Leon's like, okay, here's the sample. And Ada, just for fun, gun to his head again. Like, okay, Leon, you know the song and dance. Come on.
I'm not going to fake my death this time. You know who I am. I know who you are. Let's not play around this time.
You know I gotta take it, but and I gotta blow up the island. But I'll give you this little key. You can go take that jet ski. Get out of here.
Yeah, go jet ski your way out of this. Okay, bye.
Oh my god, the jet ski.
That jet ski part.
Oh man.
Hang on, sweetheart. Like what?
I have seen many people do permadeath runs where they get through the whole game perfectly fine, and then the jet ski happens.
I died the most at the jet ski than I did anything else.
Too.
Yeah. I'm grateful. I kind of like it again. This time was rough, but in the past, like once you kind of get used to it, you're like, okay, I can get through this.
I was sitting there at the finish line, being like, all right, game's over, and I forgot the jet ski was a thing because I put the controller down, and then it starts up again. I looked away. I was getting a drink. I was making food. I was like, oh no,
the timer. You're gonna get blown up.
Yeah.
I legit was like, oh, it's over. Okay, we made it.
One more thing.
Yeah, I will say that final boss fight is also really, really satisfying. Getting to stab the creature in the eye. It's actually, it's a fun bit. But it's one of the few moments where like you could have just let me grab the rocket launcher because nothing brings the momentum of a scene to a halt like item management.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because, well, the attaché case is a great mechanic. That's one thing I will never complain about. Love it.
It's so much fun. Yeah.
Yeah,
great
attaché
idea.
mini game.
Yep.
Yeah.
But
satisfying.
When I'm in the middle of my final boss fight and I pick up my rocket launcher, the last thing I want to do is, all right, let me move the herb over here, the grenade. Actually,
it should be a key item. Away. Yeah. It should just automatically equip. You shoot it, fine.
Yeah,
you shouldn't have to
throw out all my last grenades.
Yeah,
exactly, because it just becomes this weird, tedious thing you have to do when the game is kind of already over.
Yeah. Man, but it's so satisfying using the rocket launcher, which again, I enjoyed. The unlimited rocket launcher is one of the best bonus items ever in a game because it is just fun. I mean, you still have to keep another gun or two because there are some segments where you will definitely blow yourself and Ashley up. And Ashley can only take one rocket launcher blowing up in front of her. She is not even fully all her health, all the max health she can get. One rocket launcher goes off in front of her, she's dead. So you have to keep another weapon, but it changes the game so much in a fun way to just be able to rocket launch everything in the face.
I have a question. Do you still need to get plot rocket launcher to finish the game, or can you just use?
You can just use that one, yeah.
Okay.
Because it's still a rocket launcher. You have to wait for her to drop it, but then you can just use yours.
Got it.
Oh, because I brought my rocket launcher from the middle of the castle to this final boss fight, thinking, all right, this is when I'd use it, and I used it on that like initial part of the boss fight before you
Mhm.
get the other one.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh why didn't it kill him? Okay,
Yeah, it
I
can't.
get a
It
bonus
doesn't
one.
one. Yeah, it doesn't one hit kill him because you have to do the cutscene rocket launcher.
Dang.
Yeah.
You have to wait
So
for the cutscene, and then you can use your rocket launcher, and then suddenly he's no longer immune to rocket launchers.
Yeah. Well, no, he takes two. He has to take two rocket launchers to the face.
Oh, okay.
Because yeah, there's some. It's the enemies that have the two stages. It is you have to hit them twice. There's some of the boss battles I still just did them naturally because I'm like, oh, this is fun. I have a fully set up, everything because you just have so much money by that point. Everything is maxed out.
Yeah.
You get to feel real powerful.
And you do feel plenty powerful by the end of the game, at least. It is interesting because going back to my experience, because we're going level by level at this point, I would say that I'm going level by level anyway. Sorry, let me rephrase. The village stuff was probably the most tedious, where I was like really kind of like digging my heels in on it. The castle, I made it by aesthetics alone because it was just kind of fun being there. But I shot Ashley dead so many times for no reason, and not because I dislike that character. I really do like her. I think she's a great character, and this playthrough really makes me want to go watch a playthrough of 6 because I know she's in it. But it was when we got to the island that I was kind of like, all the mechanics kind of started to feel a little bit more natural, which is weird because that was the weakest part for me when I played it the first time. Because at that point, we're fighting army guys on an army base. Like, this is so far and away from Resident Evil. Like, it's unrecognizable. Like, I get how you got there. There was a decent enough transition. But for whatever reason, things suddenly did start to click. The environment didn't seem so overwhelming anymore. And the tedium started to weirdly make sense in one way or another. The castle, though, is overly long. I think despite it being a very enjoyable part, I was ready to strangle to death every cultist in a black robe that I saw. I was like, no more of you.
That's one thing that the castle was very tedious going through it until I went through again with the rocket launcher, and there are several moments where you can just rocket launch and kill 12 guys at once. And you're like, oh man, that's so satisfying. Like specifically when you go into that one room and they're all kind of standing around, and then when you shoot one of them, then like they all start running around. You can shoot just the red guy dead in the middle and all of them, one rocket launcher dead. It feels so good, man. It's so satisfying.
That does sound so good.
I kind of want to play this again with that infinite rocket launcher just so I can go through that one water hall level where it just gives you waves and waves of cultists.
Yes.
Just, no.
Again, very satisfying. You just blow them all up. Wait, but I want to pause for a second, and this doesn't have to go into the podcast. Did you say you want to watch a playthrough of 6 because Ashley's in it?
Yeah.
She's not in it.
I thought she was.
No, that was a fan thing where people thought that the blonde girl in the trailer was going to be Ashley. It's Sherry.
Oh, okay.
Grown up Sherry is who you play as. Yeah.
All right.
I wish Ashley was in it. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I wish it was Ashley.
We will edit this out. That at some point, because I blatantly misspoke. I thought she. Yeah, that is Sherry. You're right. Oh my god. Why did I think that was Ashley?
Because again, that was a huge thing before the game came out, and everybody was speculating. They were like, "Oh, Ashley went and did government training, and because of her experience, and she became But no, it was Sherry, who again they really gloss over it, like they glossed over Leon's trauma of like being forced into the government. She was forced into government training and forced to be, if she wanted any freedom, she had to do agent stuff.
Oh,
that's a whole thing when we get there.
Never mind.
Enjoy that little nugget.
Let's keep this in because this is kind of fascinating. Weird. I don't know.
Oh,
Like, yeah, I guess that was a fan theory, and I just latched onto it because I never actually played
Yeah.
6. So when I heard it, I assumed that was the correct one. I really want to know where this girl's at because this was a
Yeah.
lot, and unlike with Leon, when we see his buggos die, we don't see her buggos die. I mean, granted, we don't have to necessarily see them, but I kind of want to know what was the ritual, what was the vague evil stuff they did. Did that leave
Yeah.
something? What's going on? Hey, what's Ashley doing? Is she president now? And should we be concerned?
Yeah. Well, see, because I will get a little bit into like fanon, and like personal what I wish happened and what I'm going to believe happened until we get to a point where where we have some kind of confirmation in canon. I feel like somebody like Ashley, smart, affluent politician family, probably would have joined up with like the company that I forget the name of it, but the company Claire works with, or the BSAA, some kind of like lawyer trying to help the legal side would make sense. Like you could easily tie this girl into the canon in some other way, but they're just kind of like, yeah, no, her dad is president for like 8 years, and then that's it. Six
And
has a
also,
different
let's make
president. No, no,
some
no, no.
veiled references to her bust.
Yeah, we're gonna
Yep.
talk about her chest the whole game. We're gonna kind of like downplay her as like a character. Where it's like, yeah, just throw a bone in somewhere. She can have a little cameo. I feel like somebody that goes through an ordeal like this probably would get stuck in the bioweapon game.
Yeah,
She'd want to
probably.
have some kind of justice for it.
And
And
you
she's
could
not
you could
Yeah.
definitely play "My Dad Used to Be President" card to get you through a lot of stuff.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know. Man, she's done dirty. Dang, I
Yeah.
really liked
No,
this
She really
character.
did.
yeah. And
Yeah.
there's a lot of characters, unfortunately, like that. Like if we get through, especially if we get to 5 and 6, there's a lot of characters where they introduce them, and it's kind of like, okay, we want to include this character in canon. Oh no, they're not referenced ever again. Like 6 has one of the greatest examples, and I will not give up which characters or how, where they introduce new characters, and it's like, yeah, we're gonna kind of hand the franchise over to this character. And that was the way that the game was spoken about and discussed by the creators, and then just kind of
Well, 6 flopped, I guess,
well,
and they were like, all right, back to the drawing board. Let's just remake
yeah,
our greatest hits.
yeah.
Wait, does
Yeah.
Luis get mentioned again? I liked him a lot, and
Nope.
then he just died.
What's really
Yeah.
unfortunate about him is it feels like most of his story arc and is done through like paper
Yeah.
pickups.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if
Yeah.
you don't pick up any of the notes, then you're like, oh, who is this guy? Why does he have these pills that can help slow things down? Like they kind of the story doesn't verbally talk too much about it.
Yeah. I mean, he's
It
charming except for that one scene, which was really weird.
Except
but
for
at the time that was a very typical like, ha ha ha, boobies kind
Yeah.
of
her
thing.
boobs are
It's
missiles.
yeah.
I
That's
have
probably
to imagine the same reason I thought she was like a kid was because this was like mid 2000s and anime
early
was
2000, yeah.
super prominent at the time, and
Mhm.
like it wasn't unusual for a 13-year-old in anime to have that body type, even though that probably be physically impossible.
Yeah,
Um,
yes. And it's to me though, it's one of those things that does help date the game in 2004, 2005, because nowadays you won't do that.
yeah,
That's we have moved past those tropes for that same reason,
but also like it holds up a little bit better because like now playing it, like I don't think badly of it because
Yeah.
she's like 20, like, and like
Yeah.
the thought process of why I assumed she was a child is dated, and like that argument is dated because there are still people to this day they're like, I can't believe they're sexual, like she's 20 years old, like
Yeah.
I don't understand, like how did you think that? Like it was because of the time the game came out that we just processed it differently. And now looking at it with her being the same height as Leon and
Mhm.
like having a figure that is a mature woman's figure, you would sit there and like, how did I ever think this was like a kid? Why did I think this was a kid?
Yeah. And one of the interesting things to me with how people that have come in, like they're excited for this remake, they maybe didn't play the original or have played the original because like they got into the remake of 2, is there's been this huge push that like, oh no, Leon and Ashley definitely have a platonic relationship, and it was weird that Ashley was sexualized. And I'm like, Ashley literally do you want some overtime? She
You want to hit
sexualized the
this?
relationship herself. She was like, it's on the table if you want it. I'm just saying, I think, well, clearly Leon, professional, he was like, literally delivering you safely is my job. No, not happening. I understand, like, wanting to read it platonically, but Ashley did not read that
No.
platonically. She wanted that.
No.
And it was she actively chose that herself.
Yeah.
Like, homie, we can have a woman, pursue someone. It's fine. She is an adult. It's not that she was like a 16-year-old hitting on a 27-year-old man. She was a 20-year-old that was hitting on a 27-year-old man. And
Yeah.
respect to her for that.
Yeah, that made perfect sense in the context of the game. Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking
But
of like people interested though, man, going through the separate ways cutscenes, because I didn't play through separate ways. I just kind of watched the cinematics.
Yeah.
That has recontextualized Ada's relationship to Leon for me.
Yeah.
Like, just because at the end of 2, I was kind of like, oh, she kind of like, because even we had this whole discussion about shipping and like how
shipping in the Resident Evil community.
Yeah, and how Ada obviously was kind of like, oh, she likes Leon, but like, oh, they hooked up that one time because some director had to make
canonically once. Leon is the only person confirmed to have sex in the Resident Evil franchise aside from Barry, Burton, and Albert Wesker, and I will not elaborate on Albert Wesker, but it is confirmed. Leon and Ada, yeah, Leon and Ada confirmed to have boned once, sometime between Resi 4 and Resi 6.
Yeah.
By a director of the movie. So you can argue the canonicity of that. From what I understand, the CG movies are supposed to be canon. Thus, technically canon, they boned once.
Technically, they had sex that one time. But there are a lot of times where Ada is going around and goes, Leon. And it's like, what? Girl, what? Like, she looks at him like, that's my man. That's my boyfriend. I'm like, what? Really?
Yeah.
Are you into him? Like, that way? I thought he was just cute.
Yeah.
We're really into Leon Kennedy. Leon S. Kennedy.
Leon Scott, Mr. Scott Kennedy.
Yeah. This is your man.
She out here being like, I want to be Mrs. Scott Kennedy.
And I never thought that before. I thought she was just kind of into him because he was like, oh, he's charming. And I enjoy that. I know what I'm getting out of him. Because he's very much exactly as he presents himself. But she really does kind of big him up, action hero style, like puts him in, like, she gives him the jet ski because, like, come on, man, you want to get out of the exploding island on a jet ski, right? You know you do. Just do it.
Yeah. See, one thing that I really... again, another hope that I have for things that the remake can fix is I hope that they can kind of elaborate a bit more on that, because it was kind of like really hardcore on Ada's side with no explanation of like why. Like, if you give me she's been keeping an eye on him, so she knows that he's been okay, she knows what he went through to get to this point, and kind of like her maybe romanticizing what happened in Raccoon City. Like, I'm sure he has romanticized what happened in Raccoon City and like address that with their relationship. Like, I think that would be cool. One thing I do want to say about Separate Ways, though, is so they made that for the PS2 onwards, like, version. And so they wanted to explain what Ada was doing, but there are some things that happen in Separate Ways that, as far as the time frame is concerned, could not happen. But it's one of those, don't look too closely at it. They don't want you to look too closely at it. Don't worry about it. Like, there's a few segments with Ada specifically where it's like, they put a time on it that like there wasn't a time on Leon's, or there should have been a time frame on it. But it does help the game kind of make a little more sense. It makes Ada's involvement make a little more sense. So
there's a guy in an oven that suddenly makes sense.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, there's a guy in an oven, and they explain why all of the townspeople just wander away at one point.
Yep.
Yeah. Ada's helpful.
Yeah.
Ada's great.
And Krauser's jealous because he wants Leon as his boyfriend, but he knows he can't compete with Ada.
Oh man, I love the line where she beats Krauser, like after Leon gets him, he comes back, but with like bigger arm, and Ada beats him. Was like, oh, that's a big thing you have, but I don't like it when boys play rough.
Like she verbally murders Krauser multiple times. They're together. They are in one cutscene together and then separate ways. And that both times she defeats him. She throws him on the ground.
I knew Wesker before you did,
Yeah,
bitch.
yeah. We'll
Yeah.
see. We'll see if that's true. Like, come on, homie. She got you. Yeah.
Also, what like that's another weird big dog moment. This game is filled with them, where
Yeah.
Krauser is trying to play up like, yeah, Wesker likes me more. Like, why do you care?
Yeah. Yeah, that everything about that's why there was a moment of concern that he wouldn't be in the remake, that because like he existed to be a plot point for Leon's like training as a government agent, but then they didn't do anything with it. So I'm like, I hope they flesh him out so that they can flesh that out. But there's a moment of concern that they were just going to remove him. And he does have a very specific, important part of being the cheesy American himbo government agent guy. You need that. I feel that's very important to this game, despite the little kind of pocket he's in.
The knife fight is iconic to the game.
Yeah.
You can't get rid of it. That knife fight
Yeah.
is just, people remember that more than they remember like most things in the game. Out of this
Yeah.
survival horror game, you remember a knife fight with an army guy.
Yeah.
Like, I would be so sad if they took away my homoerotic knife fight.
Yeah. Because it's such a solid thing too. Like even though the quick time events, they I'm sure that they're better in the re-releases, but it was kind of dated doing it again. But it's
Yeah.
still fun. Like it still feels satisfying when you make it through it. You're like, hell yeah, I'm a great gamer.
What's
I had a good gamer moment.
It's interesting, really, because I recently played through God of War just in my own time, and that's another quick timey kind of game, and that holds up so much better than the
Yeah.
quick time events here in RE4. Now, granted, God of War came out years after Resident Evil 4, or not that much further actually. Just we're talking like a year or 2 years maybe after Resident Evil 4. So maybe
Yeah.
giving God of War too much time, but it just is so much smoother to play through, even on the PS2, than the QuickTime events in RE4, where I'm just dying or I'm like having to go from pounding the button to pounding it and then hitting the other thing and like, I don't.
Yeah. Because there are some that are very sad. Like I will stand by the Krauser fight. When you get through it, it feels good. But then
Yeah.
there are some where it does not. Like when the big guys, El Gigantes, when they fall, when you're standing under them, when you kill it and
Yeah.
they fall and you don't know, and then you die. That's
Yeah.
not fun. That doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
Honestly, there were so many times, any of the you have to get up off of a ledge quick time events, I died every time for whatever reason. I could not mash the button fast or hard enough for the game to be
Yeah.
satisfied.
Yeah. Got into the boulders. Can we actually, on the context of
Oh
mashing
yes, the
buttons, the
giant
boulders?
boulders.
Not, and you don't get to do it just once. You get it twice.
Yeah.
We got two giant boulder Indiana Jones chases.
And then they do it again on the island, don't they?
Oh,
Like,
that's right. Yeah.
yeah. And
Yeah.
they bring it back. Oh, you thought you were done.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was terrified the first time when I was walking up to the first one. I looked at my controller and I was like, "Oh God, can you still handle this?" And thankfully, yes, it could. But I
All
was
right.
terrified for a second. I was like, "Wait, is my hardware is this controller going to be too beat up to handle it at this point?" And thankfully, it was fine.
That's good. But yeah, like there are things about the game that have sadly dated it and have made me come around on the argument, because for a while I was a big proponent of like, well, let's not remake it. It holds up on its own. Like this recent playthrough has taught me, no, let's go back. I think it's time. Like some of this hasn't held up the way I thought it did.
Yeah.
And actually, and I have one more creature we didn't talk about yet
Oh,
that were
Oh.
terrifying the first time I played this game, and the first time I replayed it as an adult, I was like, it really scared me because like they just creeped me out in a good way, and now like they're still fun, but the Garadors. the like Wolverine claw blind
Oh
guys.
yeah.
Oh,
We
Man.
somehow skipped over this guy.
they're
Yeah.
I wasn't so much afraid of them as I was just miserable with them. Because they're tough in their own way, for sure. I like, and the bells run out. You only get one use out of them. Ugh. What were
The
they
first
like for
time I
you?
had to fight one, I didn't realize until after the fight was over that you had to like direct him around with the bells. I just had to throw a bunch of grenades at him and hope.
I mean, that works.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that is an option. um because yeah, I really I like the design of them. I like the concept of them. They are so different than anything else. And when
Yeah.
you because the first time it's like, okay, good, nice contained. And then eventually when you get through the castle, and you get to the point where there's the two of them plus all of the cultists in that room that locks. I love that because my first time doing that, I still remember the terror of like, oh God, this sucks. This is awful.
Because
And then
every
now,
time you try to take care of the cultists, you're gonna attract one of the big blind guys, so they're
Yeah.
right.
gonna come charging. Like that. What that fight? I agree that works out pretty terrifyingly well. The one that really got me though was the one where you're locked in the cage with them and they're shooting you with the
Yeah.
crossbows. I was like,
Mhm.
this sucks. F you. Whatever
Yeah, this is
designer thought
terrible.
they were gonna do this, I'm like, I want to teach you how this was never a good idea. Like, I got it. It was fine. I beat it, but still it was like,
Yeah,
no, F you. No.
yeah.
No,
Because
yeah. I
the
never
cage is
killed that
terrifying.
one. I never killed that one. I just knocked my way out of the cage and just ran out.
Good call.
Oh, yeah.
Man,
That is fair.
man, you know what I think was a big issue for me was like, I forgot that you could just do that.
Yeah,
Like, there are plenty of times where you don't gotta have the fight. You can just run. You
yeah.
can just
A
go to the next room.
as the DM for my current D&D campaign says, running is an option. You can just leave. And much like what he does, like, you can just go in some of these encounters, if the door is unlocked, just go. Just go. You
Yep.
probably don't have to come back here. Or they'll despawn by the time you come back here. Just leave.
Yep.
But then
That was
sometimes it is fun. You want to be able to say, nah, I got through the cage by killing everybody violently.
It's the gamer mentality that the door
Mhm.
doesn't open until all the enemies are dead.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know? Like, you're just used to it. Like, and which is weird because I didn't have that problem with RE2. I was totally fine bolting past zombies and lickers and being like, I don't got time for this.
Yep.
And but like, for whatever reason, you put me in an over the shoulder thing, you give me a laser sight and a thing to shoot stuff with, and I'm
Yeah.
immediately thinking like, okay, I gotta kill all the enemies. And there are times where you do have to kill all the enemies before the door opens.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, there are some in there.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So do we want to go through least favorite part, favorite part? Just kind of like a nice little bookend.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So what was everyone's least favorite? You have just one least favorite part.
I think both the worst and my favorite were the same part.
Okay.
Like that one part, you're in the lab, you're in the like freeze section. You get the infrared scope for the first time. You know the regenerators are out there. They're just like shambling around with their gross noises.
Mm-hmm.
You already looked at one on like a conveyor belt.
Mm-hmm.
After you get the infrared scope, that one on the conveyor belt, he's up and he's coming for you. You just gotta learn how to use this infrared scope right now.
Yeah. So then what makes it your least favorite?
It is so effectively terrifying.
Ooh.
Like something about the gross way it breathes, and you just know all of them are just out there whenever you hear their gross noise.
Yeah. So it's least favorite in the sense of you never want to play that again because it's terrible, but
But
also it's
also, it is so
terrible.
well done.
Yeah. All right.
Um,
Um so for me, my least favorite not to dunk on the island. I think the part that I enjoy the least is that first segment on the island where like you first go against JJ and you just gotta shoot him up. Because for me, if for some reason it's just not as much fun as like the village was with the chainsaw guy. Something about that first segment on the island, and maybe it's like the fatigue from the castle and the like. I know it's leading up to Krauser. Like I just want to get through that as quickly as possible. Um, I don't mind it so much when playing the Ada campaign, Assignment Ada, but I'm not a big fan of that first spot on the island.
Yeah, I can see that. It makes you think you're gonna have a stealth mission, but then like immediately the spotlights see you and it's like, oh, everyone go.
Yeah,
you don't actually get to do the stealth part.
yeah. And so then Al,
My
least favorite
part. I'm very tempted to say the jet ski, but as I was
fair.
so done at that point, and I wanted the game to be over. Again, not to say that Resident Evil 4 is a bad game. Obviously, there was still things to love, but I'm trying to think, like, because it does unfortunately congeal in my mind with the very few bright bits of just being like this very long, tedious thing that I was pushing myself through, because it was. And I'm trying to think of like what part was I like doing over and over again that I really was miserable with, and there's that scene where you rescue Ashley the first time in the castle, after Luis dies.
Yeah.
And I killed her so many times, like not getting her out of the binds, which I did eventually figure out how to do with a handgun, but I did kill her a couple times doing that too. It's like, oh, dang it!
No.
Stop killing Ashley.
Yeah.
So that was really rough for me, but I feel like most of the stuff. Oh, the ski lift. I hate that.
That's fair.
Oh, that
was so miserable.
That's one of those segments that you can actually cheese it because you can snipe the guys that jump on before you get on the ski lift. And I always that was always my least favorite part until I learned that.
Oh man, that would have made it so much easier. But yeah, I hated it.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't want to. That was really doing me raw at that point because I was so done. I didn't want to play the game, and it wasn't until we got to the castle where the aesthetics were essential, or at that point at least kind of fun or funny, and Salazar was just the joy, so it made it tolerable. But like again, I'm not trying to say this is a bad game. I'm saying I had a bad experience playing it, and yeah. But that was so rough. I'm glad I wasn't the only one. That wasn't something you guys were like, "What? That was so easy, Al." I'm like, oh, okay, thank God.
No, that was. But so then, So then, favorite part. So, Fulani, do you want to pick a second one? since your favorite and least favorite were the same.
Oh, I had a horrible time with the minecart section too, where you have to go through and all the guys are just jumping into the minecart with you, and all of a sudden there's like two men with chainsaws, and they're just right in front of you, and you can't hop over, and they're just all over you.
Yeah.
But that would be a least favorite part.
That'd be a least favorite.
That would be a least favorite.
Okay, so are we retroactively making the regenerator a favorite then?
I guess so.
Yeah. And then Al, you said that Ashley was your favorite.
Ashley's my favorite. That for whatever reason, that was such a great breath of fresh air. Where, and I get why there are so many Resident Evil fans. Like before, I thought that was kind of elitist. To kind of like think, oh yeah, all right, you like the one Resident Evil quote unquote part of the game, sure, but no, it's so needed after all that to just kind of be a scared girl with a flashlight, and like I felt like I was like, oh man, I'm invested in what's happening. I actually really care about this character. Ashley is a character as opposed to a himbo one-liner machine that is Leon S. Kennedy. So I was immediately having a better time. But I am interested because I know the Japanese version has that scene in like actual Resident Evil controls. Like it's apparently
Oh.
that has that top down kind of version of it. Like, am I making a mistake here? Because I remember being told this. I remember seeing screenshots, but I don't know if this is like, is this like an urban legend thing that got proven wrong? Because you know way more about Resident Evil than me, and if
Yeah,
I'm surprising you with it, that could mean it's wrong.
yeah. Let's do a little momentary fact check.
All right, we're gonna Google check this for a moment.
Yeah.
Live checking.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, fixed camera angles. Looks like the HD project is doing that. As an added bonus, they restored the option to play Ashley's segment with a classic fixed camera angles. For those who do not know, this is what Ashley's segment in the Japanese version of the game was like. Oh, that's cool. You learn something new every day.
All right.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. There were in the Japanese version, you could play at the Ashley segment with fixed camera angles.
That's
I'm
pretty cool.
gonna send this in the chat so that Falana and I can look at it later. Here is from the HD version, the HD update that has been worked on by fans. Wow, that is cool. Oh, that's really neat because I feel like that would have elevated that even more. Because
Right?
I do like the Ashley segment for the exact reasons you did. It felt very Resident Evil. It felt like a nice little break in the middle. And yeah, it was just a nice time. It was a
It was like
good
a
little
fun
moment.
little. You get to Scooby Doo around a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's see. For me, my favorite part in the game, if I had to pick one. Because actually, I had something and it left my mind when we started talking. My mind goes blank when we talk about Ashley Graham. I love her. She's
Mine does
delightful.
too now, so it's okay.
Actually, you know what? One of and especially this second go around, and it's not a massive part of the game. It is not life changing, but a favorite part for me would be after after the boss battle, you have to pick one of the doors to go through, where it's you and Ashley going through, either fighting two El Gigantes or you fight a horde, which included the Chainsaw Sisters. And then you can go back through to the other one. I like fighting that big horde where you have to go through the section with Ashley. Something about that, it felt like it was a great use of the mechanic with Ashley and hiding her, and it was a good mix of enemies. It was kind of like the village but done a little bit harder, and I do like that terror of the two chainsaw ladies coming after you
Yeah.
once you jump down in that hole and you're like, oh no, and if you forgot to hide Ashley before that, it's extra scary because you have to go and hide her and make sure you get her in there safely. I would say
I actually chose
that's
that
a favorite moment.
on my first playthrough, and then on this playthrough, I went through the Gigante section because I was like, oh, let me vary it up because I know what the section looks like. And I regret that choice because it's like because trying to protect Ashley from like there's not like a good super great hiding spot for her to hang out in that fight with the big guys. So I'm like, oh, whoops. Maybe I shouldn't have done this.
Yeah, because that's the fighting them is real scary because of Ashley. Because you can't really put her anywhere.
Yeah,
you just gotta fight two big guys and protect her at the same time.
I was so stupid because Ashley is being super helpful, greatest companion, greatest escort mission in all video games. Like, Leon, look, there's that giant rock over there. Like, oh, I get it. I bring rock down on big guy. Okay.
Yeah.
And then I panicked shot. And I had the rock fall in front of him, and I'm like, oh, whoops.
Oh no.
Well, that doesn't reset. So...
And you got too excited about it.
Yep. I was like, oh, well, you know what, Ashley? Was real cool when I saved you in that warehouse, right? Or that was cool, right? All right.
Yeah.
I don't look like a complete idiot.
But I guess if I have to pick a favorite, just because I'm like mulling through everything in my head, I have to say for the same kind of reasons that I like the Ashley fight, I do really enjoy that Krauser fight where it is essentially just a long boss battle. But again, that is after figuring out the knife thing. Because I find his character so engaging. I like the taunting lines. I like the back and forth that you have in that whole segment. And then the final boss where you have to kill him and get out before the thing blows up. Because it's a good little break from all the other fights, because Krauser, while being just kind of a standard Resident Evil boss, he feels so different and engaging because of that illusion of history and backstory. So I think I'll go with the Krauser fight as my favorite.
I like Krauser. We've established that. I think we're
Yeah,
all
yeah.
Krauser stands here. We
Yeah.
would like to see
We're-
more of Krauser doing Krauser stuff.
Yeah, we're pro Krauser.
Yeah.
So then to wrap it all up, final thoughts on the game.
Well, I think we
Did you
should
enjoy your
stop.
experience? Yeah.
I didn't want to get out of here without mentioning that one weird moment where Ada shows up with Leon, he chokes her, and then she's like, "All right, we'll split up like we were doing already."
No, and if you yeah, I will actually, to get back to the shipping thing. If you go and actually look, she is going in for a kiss when he Plagueis out and chokes her out.
Oh,
She's
damn!
she's going to kiss him. If you look at that cutscene again, Al, if you go bit by bit, she is leaning, eyes closing, lips puckered. She's going to kiss him.
Damn!
Yeah.
Oh, damn, Leon. Tragic, bro.
Tragic.
And then she just nopes out.
Yeah, then she's like, okay, now is not the time.
Yeah.
I'm gonna dip. Good
Yeah.
luck, Leon.
And a good thing that Leon doesn't know that, though. He's just
Yeah.
kind of like, sorry about like my Plagueis out there for a minute. It's like, oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's fine. It's okay.
Nothing was gonna happen. What were you thinking was gonna happen? Like,
yeah, there wasn't anything happening here.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad I brought that up then, because I didn't know that. And
Yeah.
like, she is so thirsty for him in this game, and I didn't remember this.
She's so thirsty for it. And it's delightful. And again, that's one of those things I wish it was a little more fleshed out, that like there was some establishment in probably separate ways would have made more sense, that she had been following Leon and keeping tabs on him while doing her spy stuff separately and making sure that she wasn't known to him, you know.
Yeah.
That would have made way more sense for her coming in and like going for a kiss, protecting him, you know. Handing him the keys to a jet ski to make sure he makes it out alive.
Yeah.
So, Philana, like, I have a curiosity question. Like, do you feel this romantic? Like, we obviously played some Ada separate stuff, but like, do you feel this romantic chemistry with Leon and Ada? Is it there? Is it different than what you remember from 2?
See, in 2, it's very much Leon sort of oogling Ada. I feel like in this one, it's a little bit of the other way around.
Yes.
Where she's like in the background, she's like making sure he's okay. She's like, oh, I gotta make sure he doesn't get mobbed by villagers for too much.
Yeah. I agree. I feel like one of the things that I really liked about this game is that it did feel like it was the inverse vibe. Leon was thirsting for her in 2. Ada's thirsting for him in this. I wonder what happens in 6.
What does happen in 6?
Yeah, wait, what?
Are we maybe going to play for the podcast one day? Because I'll just leave that for you guys to find out. It's weird.
I like. All right, listen. All right. Unless
are we actively vetoing it?
Unless no, we're not actively vetoing it, Kit. Unless you specifically are going to come to the table in that year of video games and say, "I want us to play 6." Are we going to play 6?
Part of me would love to, but 6 is a long game. And you do have to play it with a friend, so that we can pause the podcast for a second. Is that something that we might eventually want to commit to?
You have to play it with a friend. Is it 2-player?
It's 4 separate campaigns. It's built to be 2-player. You can play it on your own, but it's the AI's not fantastic. It's more fun if you play it with somebody. It is 4 co-op campaigns. Or technically 3 co-op campaigns, and then Ada's is technically
solo. It's a big game. It's a big game.
Yeah, it is a big game.
It's also not a great game.
Yeah, it's not fantastic.
Yeah.
And the storyline is very confusing. Unless you play Ada's campaign, then they make a little more sense.
Here's my argument for why we shouldn't play it. And you can like I'm cool playing a long game. We played a long game before. We played a couple of them. We haven't played long games that are not good. That we aren't really going to enjoy. Maybe this is because RE4 is just really fresh in my head and I'm fresh from that kind of the tedium of that experience. But I know I'm not going to be super hype to play through a very long campaign of a game I know I'm not going to enjoy. So that's what my argument would be. But if you feel like, no, Al, you're going to find something to enjoy about it, even though the game itself is going to be kind of crap, it's going to be fun because of the character stuff and the RE stuff. And, then I'll believe you. I will 100%. I'll be like, no, you're right. I'm going to do it.
See, because me personally, I can only vouch for there being potential fun in either the Leon Helena campaign, which is kind of the standard that you could play just that and have a fun experience,
Okay.
or the Chris and Pierce campaign. It's one of those, if we did play it, it would probably be, let's pick like 2 campaigns, like everybody play Leon and Helena, and then play one other campaign if you feel like it. And I think that would be a satisfactory experience. I don't
Okay.
think it's something where you should sit through all 4, because I do not think, if you have to sit through all 4, you will not enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
But the Helena Leon campaign is kind of the main story, and then the Sherry Jake campaign is kind of a bit more stealth, more fist fighty, whereas the Chris and Pierce campaign is more gun shooty action game. So I would leave it up to, if you think, and this is for both of you, if you think you might enjoy one of those 2, then we could maybe play it, and then we'll compare notes at the end.
I feel,
and then Ada's like a spy game.
I feel like you've sold me enough on it, especially because now it kind of feels like, well, we played 2, we played 4. Now it feels like we gotta play 6.
Yeah. Like, it's, if we want to round out the canon Leon storyline,
Yeah.
I think throwing 6 in there is worth it to wrap up Leon and Ada.
Okay.
Yeah, and then if we only played like 2 out of the 4 campaigns,
because
it's not going to
genuinely,
be such a slog.
Yeah.
If you only, like, I think another way we could go about it is maybe all of us play Leon and Helena separately, and then we can come together and 2 of us play and the third watch the other campaigns. That way it's like we kind of together get through it.
Okay.
That's another
I'd be down
option.
for that.
Yeah. Okay. So I think we've established this could be thing we'll do. Okay.
All
right. So back to pause off. We're gonna go.
Yeah.
All right, what led us down this path? I actually can't remember.
We're talking about Leon and Ada. And Leon and Ada's story gets even weirder in 6. Then that's it. You gotta, I might force you guys to play that to get that, because it's weird and terrible in a great way.
Oh, okay, but like, do we have to watch? Because we mentioned this a few times. Do we have to watch the CG movie where we find out that they bone? Is that important to their relationship?
No, you can watch that for fun. Ada has a really fantastic look in it. They have a couple of really great lines. They don't bone in that movie, but I think it's after that movie they like canonically go on a date. And outside of the eyes of the US government and her doing her stuff, there are quite a few things that like happen between them where it's like, Leon, this is incredibly unethical. You probably shouldn't be engaging with her, but by God, you were just so thirsty for it after the events of 4.
She's a part of me that I can't let go.
Yeah. And she keeps coming back. Yeah.
I'm interested because if for nothing else, now I kind of want to play 6 just so I can figure out is there a canon ending to their relationship? Like, do we get closure on it, or were they expecting to get more games?
I think they were expecting to get, they were expecting to get more games.
Okay.
There's not really a closure on it, but there is development.
All right. Actually, small aside before we absolutely close things off.
Yeah.
Because we talked about To Make a little bit when we did our video on 2, and their relationship is kind of different in To Make than it is in RE2. There's no, shouting at the Ada in that one. And I'm wondering how different do we think their relationship is going to wind up being in the remake? Because I have to imagine they're not going to make her so thirsty.
Which me personally, I'm hoping that we get a bit more development with her, in the sense of they kind of tried to establish a bit more when they did Separate Ways. They, in the remake of 2, really were like, we want to flesh out this thing between them. So I'm kind of hoping we get a bit more of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be nice if they have that carryover of like, all right, we're gonna flesh out these characters more.
Yeah. But and I do also like we were talking about it earlier, I hope we get more of a reaction from Leon. I hope we get a lot of hurt, and upset with her, and we get that kind of complexity to their relationship, especially if there is an established like he finds out she might be alive and just kind of holds on to the no, 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 there's no way. If she was, she would have contacted me. And then seeing her in 4, like I hope maybe that
Ooh,
kind of a thing.
Oh yeah.
ooh,
Because that would really hurt if she then rolls up and she's like, "Hi, Leon," and he
oh,
gets hit with that. So you did fake your death, and you knew this whole time, like what I was going through or where I was, and that could be a really good development for them because that
yeah,
would change things a lot.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Because I feel like the way that Leon's been developed and them kind of focusing on I went through hell. I was black. Oh, so because I didn't directly say this in the original game, Leon was canonically blackmailed into being a weapon for the U.S. government. But we find that out through this like post credits postcard thing in Resi 3, where it's essentially Leon with the guy that ends up eventually being the president in 6. He's kind of like his handler. It's kind of like join us, like train, be a US agent, or else Sherry gets it. Sherry's going to be an experiment for the
Oh.
rest of her life. So they don't reestablish that in 4 for people that didn't see that at the end of 3. So I'm hoping that's kind of the direction where he's like, I became like quotations, big quotations, that this was not a pleasant experience. I have a feeling we're going to be dealing with a Leon that has a lot more of that hurt and has
yeah.
a lot more of that trauma. So
I
Ada
mean,
just kind of rolling up.
poor Leon, man, just
Yeah.
like always saving them women's. That's his
Mhm.
life. And making
Yeah.
sacrifices for the women in your life.
Yeah. But so do you guys have any thoughts or vibes with like that context for like what you hope for
I mean,
with their
it's
relationship?
that's going to be a completely different character than the one we just played with because our guy
Yeah.
is action hero all the way.
Mhm.
I can't imagine with that backstory he's going to be as super fun times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No more fun talking about bingo.
Yeah. Well, I think and again, I played the demo. We do get the bingo line again.
We do,
So
yeah.
I'm hoping that it is a bit more of the masked like I am masking this with like some humor in front of the girl that I am saving because I don't want her to know I'm a step away from a breakdown at any given moment.
Oh.
And or that kind of when he is in that, agent mode, he kind of has that dissociation where it's like, no, I am agent, I'm going into agent mode. I am taking on these things. But then, Ada pops up and it's like, ooh, or Krauser pops up and it's like, ooh, trauma
Yeah.
undealt with because how do you deal with that? You're on
And
a mission.
maybe we'll get some great moments where Ashley has to kind of step up for Leon.
Mhm,
we get greatest companion in all video games,
mhm.
Ashley in this, but like maybe in this one she can be a little bit more like, hey, open up to me emotionally, and I will open up to you, and maybe there's some common ground that I can help you with and have conversation about
Yeah.
platonically.
Only platonic according to some. Nah. But no, I think that would be a fascinating way to develop their, relationship as well. Like
Yeah,
there's so many possible angles that are opened up because they're willing to maybe actually address the PTSD.
yeah.
So, yeah.
No, that would be incredible if they actually end up doing that.
Yeah. So, yeah.
So yeah, this was a lot of fun to talk about, more so than it was to play, and but like, and
Yeah.
I'm really happy we did it anyway, honestly. Like, cause I love these conversations and I think they work out really well.
Yeah. And I like the idea that this was your favorite, like one of your favorite games that really got you into one of your biggest hobbies, and then revisiting it, it's kind of like, maybe it should stay in the past.
Yeah, I think it
'Cause
is one of those things where like I a part of it has to be a it's the version of it, and b it just, I don't think it aged fantastically for myself. Maybe I've just become different over time, but like part of it has to be that I'm just playing it I'm playing literally the worst version of it.
And it hasn't aged well. I think this game aged exceptionally well until the last few years, where gaming has made some really big leaps.
Yeah.
And I think while this game aged like a fine wine for about a decade, eventually, it's going to go sour.
Eventually, Super Mario Brothers just ain't going to hold up, guys. Like,
sorry. Like I do think there were plenty of games like that where we're getting to a point where they held up incredibly well because of where gaming was at, and gaming is now just kind of getting it's evolving to a new point. We're getting the next generation of stuff that is going to age very well for, again, like a decade, 15 years. Hopefully.
I am going to be fascinated going back if this ever happens to a series, going back and playing Final Fantasy VII and seeing if that holds up, because that I didn't play when it came out, but I did play it like during my college years, like in the mid 2000s, and that, like, almost a decade, was still holding up surprisingly well for what it was, more so than some other JRPGs I was playing at the time. So I would be fascinated to play that now and see what my feelings are on it, and if it, if those chibi little like guys made out of balls like really getting emotional resonance out of me anymore.
Because I would be down for that too, because I've interacted with things around 7, and I played 6, but I would love to play 7.
Yeah.
Like when the computer gives us that year, I would love to play 7.
We ever get to 1997?
I've never actually played that game.
Yeah.
Like, so I know a bunch of the plot points.
Yeah.
Just through cultural osmosis, and that's it.
At this point, like we like, guys, spoiler warning, like everyone knows Aerith dies. Like it's it's iconic at this moment.
Yeah.
But
I think that would definitely, especially with the kind of reaction you had to this, I would love to play that to see, again, has that hit the point where it no longer holds up like it did.
I am mad curious. I would really like to know, like, because it also had a remake recently. But you know what? Speaking of remakes, we have one more we want to do. We have one more horror remake that is happening this year that we want to play through and we want to get through. And like, boy, howdy, are we excited about it.
Wait, which one is it? I forgot.
Well, you're just going to have to wait for our next episode.
Oh, good lead-in, Al. That's a round of applause for that. We're all in suspense with you, audience.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
This has been a non-productive media presentation. Executive producer, Frank Hablawi. This program and many others like it on the Non-Productive Network is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivatives license. Please share it, but ask before trying to change it or sell it. For more information, visit non-productive.com.